time I close my eyes, I feel the victories reaching me. Make the move to fight back, so you better step back, cause I'm unstoppable. Come, no need to pray for me. Come, no need to cry for me. I'll make my own fate. No one's gonna break me. So hard, nobody can stop. No need to pray for me. No need to cry for me. This is my own fate. No one's gonna break me.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the GCS Unofficial English broadcast. I am D2. With me is the Source. This is our second day of casting the GCS. We just started casting overseas tournaments, starting with the RPL last week, and this weekend is going to be the GCS. And we have a really nice set of games today on our hands, with J-Team versus MAD, followed by AHQ, which is the Korean national team, the current world champions, versus HKA. What's up, Soros? How's it going?
It's going good. Although I found out today I can't get Buff, the energy drink from sponsored by the GCS, to the United States. I can't figure out a way to do it, so I'm a little sad about that. But we get AHQ versus Hong Kong Attitude, and although it's the second match, I am super excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think people realize that the Korean national team is in this league.
I didn't know. I when you originally were like, yeah, we're gonna do GCS today, I'm like, okay, cool. So who's in this? And it hadn't really clicked for me because normally you would think there would be its own Korean league. But the best play in the GCS, and I want to see Korea develop more as a region and get more teams. But I'm totally down with this because the games we saw yesterday were incredibly good. Well, and even when the team that lost, they were still good.
I think that Korea's league switched over to King of Glory, so that left the Korean national team nowhere to go. So they're like, I guess we'll get bought by AHQ and come over here. But AHQ actually are only the third place team in the league, and if they lose today, they will fall into a tie for fourth with, who was our team from yesterday that fell down?
One fell down to fifth, and
right,
now Hong Kong Attitude is ahead of them because they haven't played a match. So after this, we'll have potentially, one of the two will go up. AHQ or Hong Kong Attitude will solidify themselves at third.
Right. So right now, Hong Kong Attitude is 3-2. So is AHQ. Whoever loses that will be in a tie for fourth. Kind of. I guess there might be a games situation, but basically tied in series with one team, and then there will be a single team in third place, with Flash Wolves being in second and J-Team being in first. That could change today if J-Team falls to MAD, but I don't see that happening because MAD is in near last place and J-Team is undefeated so far. And not only that, they've beaten AHQ, they've beaten SMG, they've beaten all the top teams, they've beaten Flash Wolves, they've beaten all the top teams already. I find it hard to believe that J-Team will fall today.
Yeah, MAD is an unlikely opponent to defeat them. We did see Monster Shield yesterday, who was 0-10 at the start of the day, rally back, get a game. So it's possible that MAD might have something up their sleeve, but it is very much a mountain for them to climb.
Well, that was against SMG, and though SMG were the Season 1 champions and Season 2 finalists, J-Team is dominant thus far this season. They won the last season's championship, and I believe they got third place at the World Cup, or was that China? I think it was Taiwan, wasn't it?
Let me check.
Well, in any case, J-Team was the Taiwanese representative at the World Cup, at least the main representative. They also had a second team, which, strangely enough, they got their second team because SMG won the AIC, which is weird because SMG ended up not going to the AWC, despite the fact that SMG was the team that secured that second spot for them. But members of SMG were invited for that, but Hanzo and Genji decided not to participate, so other members were part of the wild card. Anyway, I digress along that topic of conversation. Taking a look at the standings, like we just mentioned, J Team is in first, half a game ahead of Flash Wolves, and AHQ and HKA, Hong Kong Attitude, is our second match of the day. That's going to be a good one. And in order to break that tie there, obviously we saw one lose yesterday. We saw SMG win yesterday. And Monster Shield, despite picking up that one game, they once again lose the series and are now 0-6. So, like we mentioned, this is our week 6. These are our week 6 day 2 matches. And once this is completed, week 6 is over. It's kind of, these weeks are bizarre, by the way, because week 1 had 4 matches, week 2 had 2 matches, week 3 had 2 matches, and then week 4 had 6, and then week 5 had 6, week 6 has 4, and then it's 8 matches the rest of the weeks. So gear up for a lot of AOV action over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and it's also a little while. Like week 7 is 8 matches in one day, whereas week 8 is 4 matches a day for 4 days. So
I don't think we ever have 8 matches in one day. I think so. Week 7
or 8 matches over 2 days. 8 matches over 2 days, or 8 matches over 4 days. That's what I was trying to say.
Let's take a look at Team Mad here, as you see their positions on the map. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really seen their matches. Hopefully they put up a good fight, but I find it hard to believe they'll do that against J-Team. But, you know, even if J-Team wins, I would like to see some good play coming out of Mad here.
Yeah, Mad's also got an 8-man roster. So it's possible that I don't know what the substitution rules are here. Even if they can't sub in, you know, up until they probably entered the booth, they probably didn't know which version of the Mad team they were going to play. So with that many players, there's potential for a lot of different strategies, and maybe we see something out of them.
By the way, do you know if MAD stands for anything? I mean, SMG stands for Still Moving Under Gunfire. I think one just one. I never found out what AHQ is. I think AHQ is like a Chinese word, I'm guessing. Anyway, taking a look at J-Team, your favorites from the World Cup: Benny, Wind, Star, Neil, and Yuzong. So, yeah, they are the juggernauts of this league. They are currently 5-0, and this is them.
Yeah, I don't think MAD stands for anything. If you look at their branding and their team page on Liquipedia, which, fun fact, Liquipedia does have an alpha version of an AOV portion of their website, which I did not know about for up until earlier this week, and same with J-Team. So, no hidden secrets there. But J-Team, on the other hand, they're running a very clean 5-man roster. They have one sub, but you know, these guys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a clear methodology to how they play, or to, you know, how they win. At least it doesn't seem like they do anything, you know, all that crazy. It seems like they know how to play the game, and you know, even within innovation, they don't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and even before this 5-0 start to the season, they dominated Season 2 of the GCS. They came somewhat close to advancing to the finals, or at least winning the AWC Championship. They lost to... I forgot who they lost to. I think they lost to Korea twice, if I'm remembering correctly. Because...
Let's see, Korea beat... they would have been the Chinese Taipei wildcard?
No, J-Team was the...
No, Thailand.
Sorry?
Yeah, Thailand wildcard.
They lost to Thailand wildcard? There's no way.
No, they lost to Korea. They lost to Korea in the winners finals.
Right. But I think they lost to them before that, too. I think they lost to them in the semifinals and the winners finals. Anyway, the whole point is that... yeah, that's the only team they lost to. So that means that they've been consistently good. The only team that they've had trouble with is AHQ, and they've kind of got revenge on them thus far by beating AHQ earlier in the GCS. So, yeah, J-Team, I mean, not much you can say about them. And we're going to get into the draft right now. Starting off with Mad banning first. That means they're going to be starting in the bottom left-hand side of the map. And J-Team will be a red team in the top right. And we're starting off with a Mina ban, which we didn't really see yesterday. Mina was kind of just ignored for the most part. But
She got a couple of bans, but like, it wasn't a priority, and we never saw anybody like worrying about the Mina Chognar situation. Like she got left up even when Chognar was banned. So
right. Well, unlike our teams yesterday, I mean we had some good teams yesterday. To be fair, Flash Wolves kind of like that, but they had really particular play styles. Flash Wolves seems like the only team to play Fennec, and they just have really good team fight capabilities. But I feel like J Team is just an all-around solid roster, which means you have to just ban all the meta heroes if you're mad here, just to get them out of the way, because J Team will probably play them the best.
yeah, out of all of the games yesterday, we saw one Mina ban by SMG in game 2, and everyone else kind of ignored her as a ban, and don't think I see her getting picked at all. So like meta changes, or at least priority of fear changes. I mean, if you don't need to play Mina and there are other strategies you can run, no reason to not consider that. And I can definitely see Mad being like, Mina's pretty solid, we should take her off the table. It also gets them a marksman jungler, as actually 2 of them were banned by JT, so they have a jungling plan that is not marksman related, because they took 2 of those off the table.
Yeah, it could be the case. They could also elect to go for that Fennec.
Oh, it's gonna take me a while to like wrap my head around Fennec with my NA prejudice.
Well, it looks like you have a bit of struggling to decide here for Mad. Okay, they go for Crush in the end. Solid pick. They were deciding between Annette and Irie for a moment there. They do go for the Liliana and the Crush. We saw a lot of Liliana bans yesterday. This is one of the first times we actually see her. And what will we see from J-Team? I kind of think they're going to go for your standard marksman jungler, though. You don't have many left there, if that's the case. Nope, just kidding. Ooh. Immediately proving me wrong, going for that Necroth. I think we saw this. I think I've seen this before in the GCS from J-Team. I forgot. There's like a few specific teams in the GCS where people like to run Assassin Jungler. Although, obviously, we saw that yesterday with Team MS. But yeah, I think there's certain teams who are very comfortable playing either Murad or the Necroth. Very similar to how Team Nova over in Europe, they have obviously one of the best assassin junglers in the world in Vex. So similar situation here, and they're going to go for that Necroth. Finishing up our draft, we have Malok and Omen, it seems. So that leaves Crush not in the silent, but in the support section. What do you think about this lineup if this ends up holding?
I like it. There's plenty of ways to follow up on the engage from Malok and Crushed. There's good CC, like it's very well rounded. The mage can play at range or get in there to back them up. The Omen the Omen has 2 allies he can dive with. The Slims has got plenty of people who can protect him and CC around him to just, at least get people peel off of him for a couple of seconds. And then the Marja. So no real ranged auto attackers, but some real nasty dive from the side of JT.
Yeah, I think the Marja, they just wanted someone to be able to deal with Omen as well. Because Marja, if she's in trouble, you just use her Ghost Walk, get right out of there, and you're feeling good, feeling fine. But yeah, like you mentioned, quite a bit of dive here on the side of J-Team. Over on the side of Mad, we just have essentially a solid lineup. Nothing too out of the ordinary, nothing leaning too far in one direction. But how do you think this will play out? Who do you think won the draft, teams aside? Obviously, we're going to be biased towards J-Team as far as who's going to be the winner. But who do you think actually won the draft, assuming these teams were evenly matched?
I would say that Mad won the draft solely from the perspective that there isn't anything they can't do. They're like you can play truest to the standard of rotations, playing out your lanes. Like there isn't a real gap in anything that Mad's team does. It doesn't do anything particularly special, but it is just very, very solid. There's nothing wrong there. On the other side, J-Team, that is a very, very aggressive composition that needs to play, very cohesively. We can assume because it's J-Team that they can do it, but if this was a different set of teams or teams on more even level, we'd be looking at J-Team and being like, this might have been a little presumptuous of them, and they may feel that because Mad is a lower seeded team, that they are the J team being at the top of this, they can try and run something a little bit more unconventional.
Well, from my point of view, I think that a lot of it's going to come down to the space out ultimates from Mad Team, because you do not want to have everything canceled by the Chugnar ultimate. You go in with the shock, you go in with the metamorphosis, all of a sudden it's all negated, and you're having a bad day. So they need to space those out as we get into game number 1 here. Starting off in the top right, use on flying, literally, to the center of the map to try to scout things out and see where they're going to go. Everyone congregating around here. Looks like no real a little bit of a poke on the bottom right, but they're going to back off, and Neil's going to go ahead and go right back to jungling, and we are off to the races.
Yep, and in true Superman fashion, he floated off into the enemy team's portion of the jungle, looked to see if he could mess with anything, but he's going to head back to lane, and I'm surprised that we're not getting a little bit more of an invade to kind of mess with the Nacroth, at least on the lower side of the map. Probably not around the red, because you never want to really be invading into a Superman who might get a really lucky pushback, and then you're in trouble. So Nacroth will get a pretty much a free clear, and then we'll see what he can do as the team fights evolve.
Interesting that J-Team is putting Superman opposite this Omen and leaving the Marja down with the Malak. I suppose Marja is one of the few heroes who can match Malak's lifesteal. In fact, he's probably even better at it. So I guess that makes sense. Maybe you get caught out as Superman, you're not feeling too good. But interesting they go for that. Obviously, they're very confident in their Superman. And he's going to go ahead and start clearing this wave as Star rotates over. Wind gets some damage onto Ronin here. Yeah, things are all hunky-dory. Not a whole lot happening so far, just kind of poking back and forth.
Yeah, the advantage that Wins has is that Ronin has to step up, so there's the ability to get a little bit of trade there. Yeah, Benny steps forward in a slightly aggressive position, was just kind of looking to protect sort of that portion of the lane for Star. The Abyssal Drake will be coming up very soon, so we see a couple members of Mad rotating down here. Nacroth and Superman are doing the Sentinel and grabbing that quickly, so they should still have time to rotate in here and cause some trouble for Mad.
Yeah, Nacroth, one of the most mobile heroes in the game, if not the most mobile, with every single, or at least his dash is just being constantly off cooldown and having 2 dashes to his first ability. And yeah, they're able to successfully scare them off, which means J-Team picks up about a 500 gold lead here, which is nothing to sneeze at when it's this early into the game.
Yeah, it also avoids that portion where a couple of the members of J-Team weren't at their ultimates. Benny is basically the only person left, so they're able to kind of get that initial power spike, avoid that perfect timing on that 2-minute dragon where people are starting to show up, and maybe 1 or 2 supports don't have all of their tools necessary to fight this. And now Benny is looking for an opportunity. They're going to move in onto Soar in the jungle. I don't know if they go all the way in for this since Nacroth is on the top half.
Almost able to get that. Looks like the spear does connect onto Star. I want to talk about Marja's build so far. Flashy boots, and before she picked up these gauntlets here, she actually had she went straight into Magic Ring. So at 1.2k gold, she immediately had 25% CDR cooldown reduction. That's pretty insane, and you're gonna get so much healing off of that. I really love this build from her.
Yeah, and you get pretty good stats out of Arcana. And at the early stage of the game, people don't have that much magic resist, so she doesn't need to build into that damage. She can take that utility. And also, there's a lot of physical damage on the enemy team. Pretty much almost all the magic damage is coming out in the mid lane, or sources of physical damage. That extra value on that gauntlet, you're going to be able to build up some more defense, and we already see her getting more armor.
Yeah, interesting. She is going to the armor. I thought that was building into Barrett's Agony, because if you guys don't know, Gauntlets does build into Barrett's Agony because of the CDR and the armor. So looks like she's heading towards something else, just so she can kind of deal with that and just be a little bit more tanky. She's obviously going to be able to do damage regardless, with a huge buff to Ghostwalk, doing nearly 900 more damage in the late game. It's just 900 more damage, by the way, not just damage total. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm going to hazard that she's going in for a Shield of the Lost so she can dive deeper, cause more havoc. We do see the members of J-Team doing this dragon, and it's pretty much just going to be yielded. OM just does decide to kind of mess with them a little bit, and we actually see into the back line the Omen decided he wanted to proxy between the waves with the ultimate down on Superman, and they walk away with the tower. So they do trade out an objective, but I don't know if that was necessarily worth it. It's Superman. He's eventually going to push that out.
Yeah, I kind of like it though, especially because they're down, they're out of position. You might as well rotate over and get that. And I like the preemptive thinking. They're, instead of allowing Superman to push out the wave and thwarting that push onto the tower, in 1v3, he goes behind, make sure he stops him, make sure he just keeps him occupied, and Slim's able to take down the tower. I kind of like that play from Med, even though.
And that's,
yeah.
I think you were right originally. Marja does look to be going for Barrett's.
Ah, okay. I guess I was a little bit off on the components of the build. I didn't realize that what's that called, the armor.
You need that armor? One extra armor.
Yeah, that one little extra armor thing. All right. What is it called now? It's bugging me. Small armor plate or something like that. Anyway, well, that all aside, Barris is one of the most powerful items on her. She's the one who benefit probably the most on it because she's constantly throwing out abilities. Every time she does that, it chunks 9% of their health off as well. As you can see, she just not even afraid of this Malik at all.
Another dive on the Superman. They've got two people up here. Juzen is gonna be ulted, but again, they're not really getting any value out of this. And Star is now showing up, and Omen is in serious trouble. Does get a heal coming in from OM. They'll be able to keep him alive momentarily. Superman waiting in the brush. No commitment, and both teams walk away.
Right, they had to use both the heal and the shield in order for Omen to get out of there, and he's going to be back, which means that this top tower might be in trouble if Sora doesn't rotate back. It looks like he is going to meet that head-on, as you see Liliana moving to the bottom in order to take over for Malak, who I guess got chunked down by the Marja. So Marja already winning that battle, it seems like, as big Metamorphosis comes out, but doesn't really catch that many members. Oh my god, Spear onto the Neil. He's getting extremely low. Pops his ultimate. Barely gets away. That is the mobility of Necroth for you. I could never do that with the ping on NA that I have, but nice to be in a good old studio where you could just dash away and be perfectly fine. That was amazing.
There's like it's Necroth and Liliana. You're like, I've got him. Wait, they're gone. They're just literally off screen, and you'll be able to walk away from what looked like a pretty good setup from the members of MAD. They're now grouping up in the middle again. The Reiki shot was out on Star. That'll do little more than just kind of make him run away for a little bit. And we see, I don't know if OM really wants to be there. Neil is going to go in on him. Penny is there to help escort OM out of the jungle, and they are starting up, or at least pulling the Abyssal Dragons, so that the members of J Team have got to wait a little while to do it. In comes the stun. That's actually going to go in onto Neil. Great
shock.
Spear coming from Sword. The shock comes in from Ronan. There isn't any follow-up. They don't have the Omen there to back them up. The Metamorphosis, I believe, is still
in
down.
trouble. He's dead.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he took too many tower shots. Even though he got the Death's Embrace on, he took too many tower shots, and Superman just goes in there, breathes on him, literally, and he's dead. So, yeah, Neil being aggressive as well, trying to pick up this blue buff. The Reiki shot will come out to try to slow him down, but that's never catching up to him. And looks like Matt's going to go ahead and start this dragon, but Wind is not afraid at all. Going to go ahead and try to get some damage in, gets the Ghost Walk off, okay, OM gets away in time. Superman's on the trail, but they're not going to get much done. And in the meantime, Necroth in the mid. Got to be careful for that. Ooh, Yuzon gets taken out by a nice Metamorphosis. He is hungry. Gets that big fork out for his food, for his prey. And a shot comes in, interestingly enough. Not really sure what he was aiming for there.
It was either a reposition to cut them off, or it was just kind of a misclick, like he was looking for something deeper in the lane and he ended up under tower. But at the end of the day, with the Superman going down, we've got Omen pushing in the top lane. That's going to be, a good amount of push if he gets the Slims out there to back him up, because we haven't seen a whole lot of tower sieging coming up from Mad, but Mad is playing at just a much higher gear than I think we were expecting, and they've been able to just kind of, move around the map and pick these skirmishes pretty well.
Interestingly enough, Superman does pick up the rank breaker, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage, but won't be as tanky as he could be. And yeah, like you mentioned, Matt is just rotating around the map very skillfully, they're tied in gold, And Titan everything, actually, if you look at the map. They both taken one tower, they both taken one kill, they both taken one Abyssal Dragon. This is about as even as it could possibly get here.
We've got a setup here in the gank brush. Star just trying to bait them. Neil is waiting in there. He's gonna go forward. is not actually going to connect with anything. The Reiki shot goes out, and both teams will return to their respective corners. What's impressive is where Matt is in the standings and how close they are playing JT. Maybe it's because JT is running a slightly less flexible composition, and we're seeing that maybe they can't run something as unconventional up against Mad. We do see Yuzen goes forward. Death Embrace is down on him, but he's got the rest of his team there to back him up. Neil kind of flanking around the side. He's actually going to rotate over onto the tower and just start to get some damage down. He actually is going to drop this tower. Everyone else is going to be able to show up to back him up, and JT with a quick rotation is going to be able to take a very, very aggressive objective, now rotating into the middle of the map again. There are enough members of Mad there to clear the minion wave, but this I think JT have realized they can't really take this slowly, and Neil is just kind of baiting them in and out.
Yeah, Neil is kind of like a pseudo marksman in this regard as far as sieging is concerned. Just gets in there, gets the damage, and gets right out of there. Benny's going to go ahead and try to just do a little bit of scouting, a little bit of poking here. And things about even up a little bit. Obviously getting that second tower on the top side for JT was pretty big. But other than that, they don't have much of an advantage, only about 800 gold here. Yuzen takes a couple of shots trying to dive in onto Shinji, and Marja being annoying as well. It seems like J-Team's just constantly trying to find these openings, and you can't blame them because they have such an aggressive comp, but Mad is either rebuffing them or rotating across the map in order to get other objectives.
Yeah, they're kind of running them around. Like they're just kind of like taking them around, like waiting to see where the cracks in the armor are for Mad. And Mad's done a very good job of just kind of matching them. Both of those towers. I mean, I'd say that the tier 2, the inner tier 2, was just amazing rotations by JT. The bottom tier 1 was likely to go down fairly quickly. And we're starting to see Neil build up some really, really he's already 4 items in, or 3 major items in. He's now got his Omni arms. He has a little bit more damage in there, and we could very easily see him just very quickly solo out one of the squishy targets on the side of Mad. And I think if Star can keep this angle going, Neil will be able to take this Abyssal Dragon. Even with OM finding him, if I'm OM, I run away from that.
We should pay attention to the magic damage in these fights, by the way, because Win says, Ohm goes in with the Metamorphosis, getting low himself despite all of that armor. In comes a shock, but only hits the Abyssal Dragon.
It's a bad position
extremely
for them.
low. Yeah, actually, the Ghost Walk is just doing tons of damage. Neil gets a huge ult, gets many members, but he's going to get killed off himself as Sor manages to run away, but not for long, as Superman is on the trail, kills him, takes him out. He's going to dive this tower. I don't think it's the wisest of ideas, so they're gonna back off in the end, and that was a 3-for-1 for them so far. OM's just in bad position once more. Ghostwalk comes out here from Winds to try to pick him off, but Shinji is in a bit of a trouble. Benny does not go down, and neither does Star, despite taking that Reiki shot, and down goes the tower. Finally, we're seeing J-Team take control.
Even when, and I think I know where you were going with that quick Marja comment before that fight broke out, Wins is building a lot of damage. Even with Nakaroth down, that fight was not going to go well because they had all bunched up in front of the dragon pit, and then Wins was starting to get some damage through. It didn't explode in the same way. But Wins is 5 items in.
Yeah, 9.6k gold, the most gold in the game, has a soaring aura, and not only that, but she has a soaring aura, which means all of JT Star's fireballs, all of his power surges are going to be doing massive damage as well, because he has Spoopy Mask. That's 75 pierce plus another 150 from the soaring aura if Winds is nearby. All of a sudden 225 armor pierce, and add on top of that, he has 50 built in in his passive, basically the passive part of his power surge. So any squishy, it's going to be doing true damage.
We're also, not factoring in the possibility that he's got that extra 80 armor pierce coming in an Arcana if he's gone that direction. The Gilded Greaves are doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the Gilded Greaves plus passive magic defense literally gone. Like, Star's probably going to end up doing true damage. Like, at the end of the day. Like, a power surge there, that is true damage. Like, no mitigating defense is going to keep you alive. Crash is probably the only person who is likely to survive that damage in any reasonable degree. Omen will eventually get there, as it looks like he is building, gonna hazard that's Medallion of Troy.
Well, see, the issue here is we're talking about all these, scary builds on the side of J Team, but when I look at Matt, I don't see anything all that scary. Slims can do a lot of damage, so can Liliana, but if they get Doan properly, they're not going to be doing a whole lot. But that said, Superman does get caught out here. It gets into Death's Embrace, taking a lot of damage from that Slims. He's going to try to do his best to push them away. He barely dies to that Metamorphosis. They do take out Omen on, in exchange here. Neo's going to go ahead and try to take out Ohm, unable to do so. And in our split screen, what do we have here? It looks like the Drake is getting taken out by the Malak. So ends up being a 1-for-1, which is, you could say good for Mad Team, since they were behind both the Slayer and the numbers advantage there. But J Team looks like they're congregating around this Abyssal. Can they take it before Mad notices?
I mean, I think they can, but they're hunting. They're looking for their target. They're repositioning exactly where Superman was before, waiting for someone to walk into a bad position. Run's going to be the first one to step forward, but they're waiting on the collapse. Wins is actually going to get pinched, and now we see the members of J-Team. They instantly go in there. They're going to delete the Slims. He's gone. OM is in trouble. Does he have Metamorphosis? He does. He's waiting. He doesn't use it. He held it. He had that and the heal, and he's decided that it would be better for him to sack the life than to waste the cooldowns. But at 42 seconds, you are now looking at a dangerous time with a 1-3-1 push.
Yeah, that is true, but it's so hard to get the rage back up when you're, especially since he probably thinks he's going to need it to hold them off from the high ground tower. So I can see where he's coming from. If he uses it there, he might never get it again in this game. But that said, J-Team is on these high ground towers, going to take down this bottom high ground tower. Looks like the mid one is bruised a bit as well. And this next minion wave could mean the end of it. And Neil is jumping on right in. And look at the damage coming out from Marja. Oh my goodness. Ronin's going to go down immediately. Liliana has to go right back to base here. Sora's up, but taking a lot of damage. Superman pops yield. Sora's is able to barely get away, but that means that this last high ground tower is forfeit. Even have minions on the core. This could be game right now, and even if it's not, there's no coming back from this one.
I mean, Wins is here. Wins Ghost walks forward. An extra bit of heat vision comes out from using, and this is all but over.
They're playing
with their food.
Yeah, the core was completely dead, and the Karat decided to jump off it and onto the Slims for his insolence in trying to contest him there. J-Team took them a while. They were tied through the majority of that game, but flipped a switch, and all of a sudden it was over.
I mean, do you know how Marja got to that many damage items without us literally just not noticing?
Well, she was dominating the matchup between her and Malik. That was the one thing that was going massively in favor of J-Team the entire game, because I constantly saw Liliana in the bot lane trying to cover for Malik there, and to their credit, they did a good job covering. They had the same goal throughout the game, but Malik was just getting pushed in the entire time. Marja was getting all of her farm there. She was stealing farm in the jungle. She was being a nuisance. I wouldn't be surprised if she was creep cutting as well, and yeah, just constantly being a nuisance. It didn't seem like the entire time. It seemed like she just randomly had a bunch of damage at the end, because
all of a sudden she suddenly had those items. It was like, yeah, she was building Barreths, and the Soaring Aura items were on the way, and then all of a sudden, oh, I have Barreth's Soaring Aura
38%. Look at that damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of that was just beating up on Malik in the bottom lane and just saying, get out of here.
Sure, those numbers are a bit padded, but there was a moment that it was that dragon fight that I'm just like, wait a minute, Marja is the most dangerous thing on the side of JT. All of a sudden, she was absolutely terrifying.
And it's so annoying to go against Marja when she's ghost walking into you, dealing damage, and you can't do anything to rebut that damage. And yeah, you can't fight back when she's literally invulnerable. And that's what happens. And yeah, I gotta say, it's we didn't really take note of that the entire game, because I mean, the camera just wasn't on her, right? There was no reason for the camera to be on her, because no one was actually dying, but Malik was getting bullied the entire game, and the map was just, deforming, just caving in on that side.
I really hope Wins gets the MVP for that game, because that was just like you like Neil was doing, obviously had that rotational stuff, but like the margin damage just suddenly comes in one team fight, and it just starts to spiral.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe that was why J Team wasn't. They were comfortable with where they're standing. They're like, okay, if this keeps up, we're just going to win this game. Even though a lot of times when you have a dive comp like that, it can fall off in the late game. But they were confident in how they were building. They knew that they were getting massive advantages in the map, even though it didn't seem like it at the time. And yeah, it's just for some reason, even though they did have the dive comp, it seemed like they had the late game composition on their side because. Yeah, it's like I mentioned in the mid game there, Slims and Liliana, they had somewhat scary builds, but if they got shut down, which is the entire purpose of the J Team's roster, then it's over.
I think after seeing the games yesterday and seeing how kind of Flash Wolves bait you in and then just instantly snap the trap shut, JT feels more like the trap is just slowly closing on you and you don't realize it. I want to see how they play another composition, but it felt like the entire time, like you said, they knew they were fine. And it just, over time, everyone else just started to realize that JT had already kind of won the game in a sense.
Yeah. Although you can get lulled into a false sense of security, especially when you're talking about one of the best teams, not just in this league, but in the world. So, if Mad maybe executed a bit better there, they could have taken that game. But obviously the execution is there for the J Team, and they rolled right over them.
Yeah, I want to see if J Team goes with a similar composition and whether or not like this kind of slow roll style play continues, or whether or not they pick a different composition and then they're like, oh well, we're going to drop all your towers twice as fast, because I don't know, they had an interesting way of playing the tempo of the game. The only time I think that they made something that was a little over aggressive was when they lost Superman in that one for. Like, Superman, I don't think needed to be that far forward in that brush. They are going to give the MVP to Neil because flashy Nacroft plays, but Wins is my MVP.
I suppose it takes a little bit more skill to do what Neil did, though, because I feel like I could have done that as Marjan in those games. Just spam my abilities at the Malik and laugh at him as he has no recourse. But yeah, Neil did a really good job. Obviously, some crazy plays that we saw there. Just 10% health, dash. I feel like in the tier list on Samurai Gamers that I help write, we need to put like an extra mark on the cross saying, because we have these marks, right, for just to clarify, because certain like heroes like Mina, they're better in organized competitive play and what have you.
Yeah.
The one we have for Necroth is like his how good he is more dependent on player skill than most heroes. But I think we should add an extra one. Like, we need to have good ping for Necroth to be able to play him properly. It's like your ping must be under 50 in order to play Necroth, or else don't try.
I don't know. That feels like some under 20 ping right there.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I know that.
That feels like some LAN ping right there. Like,
I know the studio.
I think it should just say LAN ping.
I know the studio is good. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna play Necroth, you have to have a certain amount of ping, and yeah, don't try this at home. Essentially.
Yeah, and we're getting to kind of see that fight where Mad stepped a little too far down towards the dragon, and then Winds had got in all that damage. Yeah, this was the fight that I think was probably where they overstepped. But this right here, Star and Neil just obliterated Sword. That was perfectly timed, and they waited a really long time in that brush before they decided they were gonna make that flank.
Yeah, Sora thinking he's safe and walks out a little bit, and all of a sudden he's gone. in
the world of FPS, that gets called trigger discipline. I've learned that from all my FPS friends, because there was a moment where they could have instantly kind of just rotated around when Wind started to get into a little bit of trouble, but they waited till everybody had kind of moved in there, and that's actually a pretty good decision making from the side of JT.
And that's just the trust that they have with their team, right? Like, a lot of times you'll see a teammate in trouble and your immediate instinct is to go help them, but you're like, okay, this is Wind, he's on Marja, it's fine, he can use his Ghost Walk, and like that, the game starts to slow down where you're thinking 3 steps ahead. You're like, okay, they're gonna chase them, It's going to be fine. It's Marja. She's going to be able to ghost walk, and then they're going to be really overextended and we can kill them. Whereas if you just think only one step ahead, like, oh, we should help our teammate, then that's what gets you in trouble with there, like we saw with the Slims.
Yeah, he might have been able to back up, jump away. There, like somebody else might have caught them, but like it was, oh, that was perfect. That was perfect play. It was like over the wall. No one thought they could get to him. So, I feel like I'm learning more about AOV watching the GCS than just like seeing how teams think about the game. Like you can always understand the limits of characters, and maybe you get surprised by a given character, but I think like we're getting to see a very interesting showcase of how to think about character positioning and when you make a decision.
Right. And this is the time to reiterate the fact that a lot of the pro teams in the West watch this league in order to study them, and you're getting to see why. Well, we are into our ban phase once more, and identical bans to last game, although the Violet ban comes on the side of Mad rather than JT this time. Interesting that they value banning the Kilgroth. We haven't even seen a Kilgroth, I don't believe, other than like one game in the RPL. So what do you think about that?
I noted that last time. I was like, I wonder why JT did it. And when they did it, it was their last ban on Red Side, so I thought it might have been a throwaway ban. Like, this thing might be kind of annoying, we don't really like it, or more so like we're going to ban something we don't really care about, but now they've banned it again?
It might be someone on Mad who's really good with Kilgroth and they don't want to deal with it. It could be also just strategy, like they feel like maybe
they don't have something for it.
Right. Since they probably want to play the Superman Marja, and they don't do great against the Kilgroth. Kilgroth can be annoying to Marja if he just gets on there and pops his ult, gets all that lifesteal, and she only really has a Ghost Walk as that retaliation. Alright, so we have identical picks once more. I really want to see Mad go away from the Malak this game because he's just going to get owned by the Marja once again. You need someone who's a lot more aggressive. I doubt they're going to pick someone like Zuka, but Zuka could be someone who could potentially deal with her and just burst her down quickly, make her Ghost Walk away defensively.
Yeah, somebody who wins the lane a little bit harder. Whereas JT is just gonna stick to their guns. I
saw this yesterday. Yeah. It's like if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Same 3 first picks for them.
Yep. But yeah, what I'm looking for Mad here for the side laner is someone who can deal burst damage. It's not a good idea to have someone who can just sustain because March is just going to sustain better. They could pick March themselves, actually. Not that hard a hero to play. It really isn't. No. So I feel like if they don't pick her, it might be because they're not used to playing with her as a team. But as far as the ability of certain players to play with her, she's honestly not that difficult. So.
Yeah, and she'll kind of fill similarly into, I guess, the movement of Malik, with the exception of Shock. Like it's kind of like go forward, get a cleave, do something, kind of dive a little bit. She dives significantly harder than he does when she wants to with Ghost Walk, but then you also count Shock. So I kind of put them in the same realm-ish playstyle wise, so they could do it.
Oh no!
But it looks like they want the Malik Slam. It looks like they're gonna try and run it back. We did see. It was just a minor tweak from Monster Shield to be able to turn things around against SMG after they tried to run back their same composition. Well, so
it was a minor tweak, but it tweaked the parts of their lineup that was broken. Right? They're like, okay, we need to combine our dive with our dive, and not have this hybrid poke dive comp that doesn't make any sense. So they made it all dive, and it worked. Mad's running back the exact same comp so far. The exact.
Oh my god! No, don't
do it. The exact same game that we just saw, and you see J Team. They're laughing. They're like, "What are they doing? We just beat them with this exact comp." Yes, it was tied, but I don't really
see miscalculation by Mad.
How
I think they believed the game was closer than it was.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The game, yes, it was tied through many minutes into the game. But I don't see how better execution would have helped Mad there. Their team just wasn't equipped to deal with the side of J Team, because if they are tied again, then the same thing's going to happen, where the Slims and the Liliana are going to get dove, and then they don't have any damage left.
The only way I see this going bad for Mad is JT gets a little overconfident, but then you're counting on your opponent to make a major mistake, and that's never a good strategy. Like, forcing errors is one thing, but relying on your opponent to make to make big mistakes, because it's not even a matter of small mistakes. The issues that JT had in that game were we mispositioned the Superman just a little bit. He got a little over aggressive, but that got evened out when he soloed the Omen up in the top half of the map underneath the tier 2, between the tier 2 and the tier 3 of that jungle portion. So, like, I don't...
Okay, saying that you hope that they get overconfident is like saying, I hope Michael Jordan gets overconfident. It's like...
Exactly, like, it's not a winning strategy. So.
It's actually a good thing to be overconfident sometimes, because that gives you the ability to pull off plays. So, yeah.
It's not overconfident, but it's not overconfident if you pull off the plays. That's just being confident. It's overconfident when you miscalculate. And I think Mad severely, I think the coaching staff of Mad severely miscalculated here. Because this looks like they didn't recognize the problems they ran into in the last game, and they believe that they can run it back and correct those mistakes very quickly.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. And I think that this is why Mad is toward the bottom of the league, because they looked good for a significant portion of that game, and it seems like their stubbornness is probably why they've lost a bunch of series up till now. What do you think?
I'd have to go back and look at drafts, but this decision wouldn't surprise me, because you played JT to a reasonable point. Like, you kept up with JT through a large portion of the game. Now, maybe they swapped the lane matchups. Maybe they matched the Omen against the Marja instead of the Malik.
She's still gonna win that one.
No, she's gonna win the lane no matter what. But I'm looking for something. I'm looking for anything that's gonna make this make sense, because
nope.
You're still looking at the same. Yeah, you're still looking at the same item break points, and now this time, JT, they're invading into this jungle. If Superman steals this, okay, he didn't, but like, come on, like, if he had, oh no, Sor.
Well, he's just being annoying. Like, look how slowly Sor is going through the jungle now, whereas Nekroth is already through 3 of his minions, 3 of the monsters, excuse me.
Like, it's going worse. It's going worse for Mad this time. Like,
Yeah, they're going to take the Seagull as well. The Observer is getting confused. You see Sor running through his own jungle. They're already down a couple 100 gold, and that's primarily in the jungle side of things, as we can see. And yeah, Marja is going to keep just being annoying to the Malik. This is really interesting from the Marja. You can probably barely see it, but she's keeping the minions alive just in case she gets smacked with something, because that's her source of lifesteal. So she's keeping the minions alive until the last second, so that if she gets dove upon, she can heal right back up, because she doesn't have Ghost Walk yet. That's actually super smart.
There's also not a hard engage potential from Malik. He just kind of has to walk at you. Even once he has shocked, you can more or less see that coming. So she doesn't need to worry about, like, messing around with the minions for a while. It's actually like it's 2 levels of smart, too many levels of smart. His Marja play is on a next level of just how well it's being coordinated with the team. You had Nekroth down there help supporting a little bit. The dragon is up, and we already see Winds just like messing with it so that the members of Mad can't get it, and it's the same thing that happened last time. Mad was on point, take the Abyssal Dragon, and you already see the members of JT there to mess with them, and they're going to do the exact same play. Let's go get the Sentinel. They're even going to invade onto the red. They're just 2 steps ahead. They've now readapted their strategy to be slightly further ahead than they were last time.
I know, that's the funny thing, because Mad's just trying to run it back to see if they can do better, but they forgot the fact that JT can do better as well, and they're adapting better than Mad has in this game so far, and it does not look good for Mad.
But at this time last game, it was maybe a 500 gold lead because of the Sentinel. Because of how much they have moved around the map and stolen camp, they've increased that lead by 300 gold. They've literally taken, like, that is adaptation at an incredibly high rate.
Honestly, I don't even think that JTM wants to take the Abyssal Dragon, because that opens up the other side of the map for Mad to once again take down their tower, right? And that's really
Yeah.
the only way. They don't want to trade. They don't want to just win. Speaking of J-Team, right? Because once you start trading, perhaps the map gets a little bit lopsided. One bad team fight, and then all of a sudden they've taken down a high ground tower, right? So I think that J-Team is actually perfectly content with not even taking the Abyssal. As I say that they're taking it now, but it looks like they realize that Superman's a good spot.
Yeah, they slowed it down from the original timing at which they took it, and I think this is for all of you. Oh, he's
is dead.
Goodbye, sir. I don't know if Star even wants to go in on this. That's
well, 3 ults were used there in order to take down Superman, so there is that, I suppose. So kind of similar to last game, except at the end of it all, J-Team is still up 1,000 gold. So I think they'll take it. Not too happy about Superman going down, but they're still ahead.
So this what I was trying to say before is this is a rare moment for viewers out there, because this is the same compositions from the same teams being run back, and we got to watch another example of the same play. Shingy takes some damage, walks away, but we're literally getting to see them both adapt to the exact same strategy and watch how the playbook evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, again, J-Team's doing a little bit better job. Obviously, Superman kind of made the same mistake of dying to 3, but it's just funny how it's I think more so than seeing their play evolve is seeing how scripted their play is as well. Like, when this happens, we do this. When they do this, we do this. And the same thing has happened both games, which means it's not a fluke. They're making these movements on purpose, and they've practiced it before.
Bevel is going to go in. Death Embrace goes down. He's going to get pushed around by Star. They do finish him off. It took them much longer than I thought it would, and Shingy is now out of position. Crash is on the way to help, but I believe that is the Deadly Leon actually still alive. Gets one more power surge in there. Metamorphosis has been committed to this, so that's going to be an objective loss, and Yuzin is going to push him back. They're eventually going to break through this shield. That's one more knock-up, another power surge to slow him down. They're not going to dive the tower just yet. No, Yuzin... misaligned to that skill shot. But at the end of the day, a bit of an advantage over in the hands of JT, and now he's he'll be fine. But yeah, this is
look at bot though. Marsha's just eating Malik's lunch right now. She's just diving under the tower. She's just in there,
taking his lunch money.
Oh my goodness, Malik. It's so weird for what is he, like a demon lord or something, to need lunch money, but he has none of it now.
Yeah, like. Stole shakedown on the playground. Wins is making Ronan have a bad day, and that's an Abyssal Dragon over to the side of JT. Mad is making a better attempt here when it comes to this siege. They've got on the side to kind of cut off or at least help facilitate the retreat, so they don't actually end up getting that much as JT rotates in. But I mean, they haven't given up, but it is the lead is starting to build, and nobody's dealing with this Marsha in the bottom lane.
3.8 gold. She has the most gold again in this game, and I wonder how that's going to turn out when it gets to the late game and they start having team fights. Probably not so well.
I mean, it's dive him, poke him, Make a Star down here to back up Wins. Maybe even trade out that positioning. They should rotate into the middle portion of the map, maybe, just because of like all the times they're really catching at home. But we do see the engagement by Mad. Reiki shot's going to go out. That's going to keep using a little bit pushed back. And wow, I didn't actually think that Reiki shot landed.
It did. Yeah. Well, they're going to take out
dive in the bot lane.
Yeah, they're going to take out Malik in the bot lane here, and going to take this tower. Looks like, as a siege minion is tanking those shots. Will they get it? It's close.
Do you want that, Shingy? Does he want that though?
Does who? Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Do you want this fight? Is gonna get knocked up, but unpredictable away.
Oh, she flickers over. She flickers over, tries to get some damage, and she's feeling herself, or he, I should say, since it's not the character, it's the actual person behind that. But yeah, trying to go for that.
Let's be real. Liliana's feeling herself like she is a very confident individual. Like she believes she is as good as she thinks she is.
Yeah, especially when you get the pop star Liliana, and she's talking about being a pop star all day. She's knowing a bit of Japanese, you can totally tell she's very confident when she's in that form. Anyway, all that aside, little bit of push here in from JT, and it's got to be said, they were tied at about 22k gold last game, and that's not the case at all this game. And not even really holding a tower lead as the bot has been taken here. So yeah, Win's just rotating over, just getting a lot of damage in, and this is where things start to kind of fall apart here for Mad, because Win's just getting so much damage onto the rest of the team as she's able to rotate out of that bot lane. Another tower goes down. Ooh, wasted ult.
That's unfortunate. I feel like Ohm's been just a little too free-handed with using Metamorphosis and those timings, and I like that we're seeing Winds rotate a little bit more into the fight a bit sooner, because we're going to get more of the value out of that Marja damage, at least when it comes to setting up the siege. And they're letting Neil split push so that he can build up a little bit more gold. And I actually like that, because I think if you get the Nakaroth a little bit further into his build, he's going to be able to help you facilitate slightly more interesting and more aggressive dives. But Ohm is going to be caught out. There is no Metamorphosis. He is likely to go down. They are taking their time with this, though. They were able to bait in Bevel. He will be caught out as well here, using, and from the side, Jingy actually dodges that forward, gets a lot of damage on him, didn't manage to turn around and throw out that combo for the extra damage. Reiki shot will force Winds to back up, so they will gain a bit of respite. And Sora misses the spear. JT or Neil is able to bait that Might Golem a little bit further up, and he will steal that away and is continuing his split push.
This just looks so bad for Mad, because JT is starting to hit their stride. They're up in gold, they're up in towers, they now have map control. They can really rotate more to more areas onto the map here, as we see Omni Arms, the first real attack item in the attack category here for Neil. So he's going to be doing a lot more damage, going to be a lot more scary for the members on the other side. And we see these builds starting to get filled out. Like you mentioned, that switch from the Nakaroth in the side lane really getting him that extra gold that he needed. Now he's in first place in gold on his own team rather than Marja. So that's certainly working out for them. Marja building toward that Soaring Ori, as you can see in her build thus far. And Raz likewise looks like he's going towards Unbarris Agony. So they're going to be putting out quite the damage, as well as the poison damage and that torture passive.
I actually like the farm distribution, like the adaptation of, let's get Nakaroth in the side lane, let's make sure Marja keeps up her farm. And Raz is kind of accepted, like Star accepts that he's going to get a little bit less free farm, like a little bit less side lane push, and is still keeping up in gold, but is, just a little bit behind, and they need him, obviously for burst, but also a lot for the utility. Yuzan is going to get caught out. Death's Embrace is on him. He's going to start to get very low. The shot came in. That was the finishing blow. And Winds wasn't able to commit into that. But you've got the Drake off in the side. You've got push coming out from Neil. And if they're able to rotate into this jungle angle properly, they should be able to help protect this Drake. And, I mean, you lost the Superman. Yeah, everything was committed just to get the kill on the Superman. So and this is the rotation, the same thing we saw before. You bait them over just a little bit, use the mobility from Neil to be able to move back and take another tower, and now he's going for high ground on his own.
Yeah, and this is really smart from J-Team, knowing the situation. They know that it's going to be difficult for Mad to clear this out without the ults they just used. Neil's going to back off and start getting some of the farm here, and looks like J-Team's going to do the same thing. They have, the only person who can really be caught out here is Star. Benny is pretty much unkillable with that Chaos Protection there, and the Marja has her own Ghost Walk as well. So smart of them to do this. That's the other part of about the JT. Now that we think about it, it's so hard to kill like even one member. It took all five.
They're not going to stay unless they want to fight you.
Yeah, and it took all five of them to kill one Superman, and meanwhile they're getting pushed in on the other side of the map. It's like, how difficult is it to kill the side of J-Team? And I kind of like that, because that means that the oh wow, you're gone. You're gone. Sorry, buddy. But what I like about that, as the high ground tower is getting taken down here, is that the entire game can't just flip on like a Lindis pick, for instance. And because it's so unlikely to happen. All right, the Chaos Protection comes out to go against the shock here. Everyone's going to go ahead, run away. Yuzon, always the aggressor there, trying to get some damage in. Bevel takes quite a bit of damage as well. And these towers are slowly but surely getting chunked down.
It's an incredibly high level of I think just general thinking to consider. Oh, Sora's going to get dropped so low. They do a Shingy on the side, but Yuzin is there to cut him off. He's not going to get knocked back. He's taking a lot of damage. It is going to commit. a little bit of resources. Out comes the Metamorphosis. Chaos Protection is going to go down again. Shock was placed well, but everybody was able to move out of it very, very quickly from the side of JT, and they're happy to back up. And what I was getting at was, with all of that escapability, it's just an additional level of thinking from the side of JT where they understand that no one on their team can be caught out if they play to the maximum potential of their ability. And that's just a lot of confidence to be able to say, our comp, we rely on the fact that no one's going to get caught out in store. He's going to be the one who is caught. Neil takes a lot of damage. Shingy is not overcommitted. Bevel is going to be caught. He threw down the Death's Embrace, but he's going to get pushed around by using. Snar is going to finish him off. Now they're going to get one more pushback onto Ronan Ohm. He's there, but what has he got to use? There's no Metamorphosis. There's no resources on his side. His team is dead, and the members of JT will run it back twice as fast.
Yeah, exactly. They're up 9,000 gold nearly. Not sure if they're going to try to end the game right now. They might just go for this mid tower. It seems like they're just putting pressure on so that once this mid wave finds its way to the top high ground tower, mid high ground tower, they're going to take it out. Superman's kind of pushing the top. Is this going to be the core push that we see here? They're going to play with their food a little bit more. Sora goes down in his fountain. The worst feeling in the world. I don't know if Shinji can hold on to this. This is probably going to be game. As long as they stop playing with their food. Stop it. They're already dead, J-Team. They're already dead. Leave them alone. Oh my goodness. The minions are going to take out the core at this point. Like Ronan goes in with a shock. It's not going to matter. More food for J-Team. Nom nom nom. They eat it all up. Take their lunch. And that's a 2-0.
Gotta pad those stats, man. Pad those stats for the end screen. You're doing it for the fantasy points. There is no AOV fantasy points, but there should be.
We should make an esports fantasy league. Although that's so many games to cover. But anyway, that would be kind of fun.
Well, we'll figure it out at some point. We've got plenty of other. I've got plenty of other AOV projects I need to sort out before we get there. But that is a 2-0 for J Team. Mad, they look a little bit depressed, but I think they're not surprised at the result.
It was depressing, honestly, because their first game was decent. They were even through a large portion of the game, and it was just a testament to the J Team. They turned it on in the mid game and they won, and then they ran it back in the second game and to predictable results. Shinji, of course, was feeling himself 40% damage, pretty nice, but that just reinforces the fact that Sora was not doing much that game. Wins once more, 108,000 damage for his side, completely dominating that lane, and I just why run it back?
They thought again. This was them thinking that.
Like, change something. Change the Malok. He was just getting dominated in the first game, and he got even more dominated in the second game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's you would normally think that the team that lost would, in theory, be able to fix their mistakes. The problem was J-Team just exploited new one.
Well, you saw J-Team just laugh. When the final pick came in for Mad, you saw J-Team like, what? Okay. I guess we win then, because we killed you last time. We'll kill you again. And not only was Mad not able to, match J-Team in execution in the second game, they weren't able to shore up or like really change up the game plan in a way that allowed them to win. Not only was that true, but J-Team actually found for themselves other ways to get ahead in the game.
Yeah, no, J-Team adapted better and faster than Mad, who was specifically running back their composition for the purpose of thinking that they could do it evenly. And I mean, JT is in the position where they can run the same thing again. They had just won fairly dominantly. So
yeah, the question,
another MVP over to Neil.
Yeah, the question was on to Mad to figure out a way to defeat them, not on J-Team. J-Team can just run back the same question until it's answered. And they're like, well, still unanswered, and we're still number one. As they go to 6-0 in the league. They are still ahead of Flash Wolves, who we saw win yesterday. And that widens their lead on the teams that we're about to see next as well. Between AHQ and HKA Hong Kong Attitude. So whatever team loses that, they're going to be falling farther behind J Team as well.
Yeah, and an unfortunate time for Mad Team. They're gonna, I think this. No, they're not mathematically going into the relegation process yet, but that was not the performance they were looking for.
Right, especially because they want to be competing with one team in S&D to try to get to the playoffs. But that all aside, we do have, I would say, our marquee matchup coming up next between AHQ, which again is the Korean national roster, the world champion roster on AHQ, going off against Hong Kong Attitude in a battle of the non-Taiwanese teams. Hong Kong obviously not being part of Taiwan, and neither is Korea. Although I guess AHQ is a Taiwanese organization.
True, but Hong Kong Attitude, everybody but Mid and their coach RB are from Taiwan.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean Hong Kong Attitude isn't the organization. They exist in multiple games. Same with AHQ.
Right.
So I think that's more of a the brand of Hong Kong Attitude has picked up the roster. You know, they feel good about it. It's like, you know, a North American team picking up an EU team. But yeah, no, actually, Hong Kong Attitude is mostly a Taiwanese team. The only player on that team from Hong Kong is actually Mid. So the lone Hong Kong representative.
the Mid who plays support, which is so confusing.
Wait, Mid plays support?
Yes.
Oh no!
Why would you name yourself that?
I mean, because he probably started out as a mid player.
Or maybe he didn't. I guess mid translates to other languages, huh?
Maybe.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a player named Top, Bot, or Jungle. So.
All right. Well, it looks like they have an interview with Yuzon here. And we're going to let the interview run, and we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we'll have HKA versus AHQ. See you in a bit, guys.
夜叉也是五五开的，就是看队友怎么去支援。
因为以往大家会觉得超人是可以拿来限制，夜叉是可以拿来限制超人的，而 JT 这边感觉是完全不害怕，直接先亮了。
就是那个夜叉拿到足够多的优势，才能够单杀超人。
那在对面亮出夜叉，反而最后一选没有选出大家认为比较康特夜叉的诺可西，而是选择了马加，为什么呢？
因为我们超人都是放在凯撒路的，我们为啥还没有练超人？
直接爆料。
对，所以我们就想说。因为马加很好打马罗斯，所以我们就直接选出马加。
原来是这样。那其实今天2场的阵容都是一模一样的，而且从昨天到今天2天的比赛阵容其实也没有太多的变化。这是战术的关系，还是因为版本比较平衡的关系？
因为我们平常都是主打射手阵嘛，然后最近想要利用这个比赛的经验，去累积我们的刺客阵的那个就是经验。
是，所以证明了 J Team 不只是射手阵 OK， 其实刺客打野也是可以的，
也是可以的。对，
甚至今天的2场都没有选出射手。
对，
那不过在今天的中秋前夕，赢下了2场比赛，可以开开心心的过中秋。J Team 有打算中秋节怎么过吗？
我们没有放假。
你们没有放假？
对，就是我们会继续努力，因为下一个比赛就是3天后了嘛。对
，9月26号要对上 HKA， 所以中秋节也没有放假。那至少今天打完比赛，晚上还算是可以有时间出去放松吧。
休息一下半天。
那都没有烤肉吗？
没有烤肉。
真的是辛苦你们了。世界赛要进口域，不能吃牛肉，然后现在要打很多比赛，一直到下一次放假是什么时候？还不晓得吗？
季后赛后了。
季后赛后，
可能就11月初。
所以还有大概2个月的时间，将近2个月的时间 ，J Team 真的是非常努力的在练习。
对。
非常的佩服你们。好，那也再次恭喜你们拿下这一场比赛，也不愧是 J Team 付出了这么大的努力，才能在联赛中一直保持着不败的记录。以上就是我们赛后访问的部分，那待会看完精彩highlight，继续进行今天的第2场对战。
Come, no need a break for me. Come, no need a cry for me. No need to run. This is my own place. No one's gonna break me. Stop me.
月下飞天镜，云生结海楼。手把芙蓉笑，翩跹笼月霜。出水芙蓉。人生如梦，元神出窍，元神归窍。
我这波可以压，我这波可以压。好，上路上路上路，来你上去，一直上去，我带着走。哎，没人，我拉出来了，我拉出来了。哦，哎，走，可以了，走，推你。我卡死了，我卡死。OK， 哎，来一下吗？哦，还可以，是来啊。不行了，不行了，哎，那就不要。可以哦，放了，拜拜，可以，拜拜，不要，我不要哦，我就不要哦，拜拜，我就不要，北人，我就不要哎，小北人，要我在面线，撵他，在你的地看哦，没有，我会帮你，阿平，交给啊，可以，阿平位置，还行吗？飞得好硬哎，哇，在你啊，哇 ，nice， 都可以开吗？上来呀！他们没开掉，我潇洒团了，两只，阿杰你刚刚管了，阿哲给他死，他没办法，不了，好，没事，看好阿哲，他打我，好，不会痛，
没事，我不会这样，我们一起 on 一路，好吧？
我看一下魔龙，
要 on 中路就是直接，拉支是没大的哦，
但是我那边有点危险哦。
有的打吗？中路看一下哦。
莫拉在上，莫拉在上，他想
有的 on 就 on 哦，有的 on 就 on 哦。
2只在上哦，
我们要不要打架
啊？有的 on 就 on
特拉
哦。
是中路，特拉是中路。
啊，拉着打，中路可以 on 哦。
好，来，中路带哦。
那是没到喽。
啊，中路是可以 on，我标看看，我标到吗？没有，
他没有逼走，他没有逼走。
中路吧。
洛克西有屌砍哦，屌砍了。
可以来，
可以帮他 on 哦，不用帮龙马了哦，龙马那边不要被抓住。
他们要硬推了啊？
有可能吗？
有可能。
在我拳王面前，
人没大
推。来了，
上路兵来了，
来啊！我看你都会推。
推啊！来啊！哇！
别！赶快回来！啊！别死，拜托！
我的就是服，守住了。
中兵！主堡守住了吗？
守住了。
快到我们的菜了，加油！
哇，这群推厉害了！
是凯撒，快出动！
耶嘿！
等，好了，可以了。
Go 西斯特
Go Power Ranger。
In buff. In buff. In buff. In buff, we trust. Buff 能量饮料，含花青素双效登场。
月下飞天镜，云生结海楼。手把芙蓉笑，翩跹笼月霜。出水芙蓉，人生如梦。元神出窍，元神归窍。
Every time I close my eyes, I feel the victories reaching me. Make the move to fight back, so you better step back, cause I'm unstoppable. Come, no need to pray for me. Come, no need to cry for me. I'll make my own fate. No one's gonna break me. Cause so hard, no one can stop. No need to pray for me. No need to cry for me. This is my own fate. No one's gonna break me. No one can stop me.
Hello， 各位
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the GCS unofficial English broadcast. I am D2. With me is the Source, and we just watched J Team take it to Team Mad. Now we are on to probably our best match of the night. That is Team Hong Kong Attitude, who is a very good team. They're in the top 4 right now, but they're going up against AHQ. And if you guys don't know, AHQ is the world champion Korean roster. Now they are tied in the standings, but I gotta go with AHQ here. What do you think, the Source?
After being personally bamboozled by Sun in NA solo queue when he was here for the World Cup, I'm definitely on the side of AHQ. And they're a team of incredibly skilled players. They may have fallen down a little bit in the GCS so far, but I mean, I don't think we're ever going to count them out. I think we can probably say they are likely to be in the playoffs. So the question is where are they going to end up seeding wise, and how they play up against Hong Kong Attitude, who are a hungry team trying to advance their way up the standing.
I would say, yeah, they're likely to make the playoffs, but if they lose this, then things could spiral out of control pretty quickly, especially if you consider that I'm guessing they're living in Taiwan right now, but that's difficult to do if you're living in a foreign country, can't really speak the language, most likely, and, once you lose this, they've lost a J-Team and Flash Wolves, the top 2 teams in the league so far. If they lose this, then a lot of these teams are very, very talented. You have a hungry SMG who wants to be in the playoffs. So in their future games, they could definitely fall down if they lose that confidence that made them the world champions. So you never know. Obviously, I wouldn't bet against them, but they need to take care of business, even though they are technically tied with Hong Kong Attitude in the standings right now.
I mean, there are other series that have gone fairly well. So they've got some 2-0s, some 2-1s, some 1-2s.
I watched their game against J-Team and Flash, their matches against J-Team and Flash Wolves. Like, J-Team just kind of outplayed them a bit, and kind of got used to their style of play. There are a few mistakes from AHQ in those games. As far as when they played against Flash Wolves, AHQ was actually ahead. They won game 1. And they're doing reasonable in game 2, but narrowly dropped that one. And then in game 3, they decided to play Batman and then lost, which is curious, to say the least. So I feel like they're still extremely talented. Still probably will be able to take out Hong Kong Attitude here. But Hong Kong Attitude's really plucky. They've been competitive in all their games so far, even the ones they've lost. And were able to take out SMG just recently, so... Let's take a look at our world champions, Sun, Rush, Hawk, Chaser, and J-Jock. I really wanted to... I always wanted to go talk about the Hawk and Jock combo, but apparently it is pronounced J-Jock. I like the Sun there, by the way. They literally have their names and their portraits on the front there.
I mean, gotta represent.
By the way, I do have to ask you, how did Sun mess you up in solo queue? Because I can only imagine how that...
So it wasn't even really a fair fight. I was like, oh sweet, I get to lane against Sun. This will be really he was playing in the World Cup. I was excited to play up against a player of that caliber, see how I stacked up. Just somebody who plays, a lot of solo queue, and then my teammate, somebody in the draft, picked Yorn, and I was already playing Violet, and so I ended up side laning Violet into Sun's Irie, and I just got bamboozled. I was just like, this isn't even fair. I don't even get to try to play Sun. I don't even get to try and see if I can stack up at all. Nope. I'm playing side lane Violet. I got killed 3 times in the side lane. Got no support from the jungler. Nobody wanted to rotate. It was bad. It was bad.
I mean, Violet versus Irie in the side lane is not the worst matchup. Just tactical fire around and...
No. That's true, but it was Sun. So
I know.
Caliber, a really high caliber player who caught me once, and at that point, I'm behind, and then I got no help.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think you lost because of the Sun and not because of the matchup.
No, but if I knew I was gonna lose the matchup, but I feel like I would have lost it less badly.
Well,
we had no front line. It was bad. It was a bad time, but I feel like Hong Kong Attitude will not make such a rookie mistake.
We were talking about this before the break, but Mid is actually in the starting lineup today, it appears, and he is playing support, so that's going to be confusing, to say the least. Well, hopefully he'll be around Mid, because that's what supports typically do, especially if they're playing Chognar. We didn't get to talk about Benny last game, by the way. I think there was just no time in between the action in order to talk about it, but the way that they use Chognar, these teams, including Benny last game, or last series, I should say, is they're constantly going in and using their first ability, I'm forgetting what it's called right now, to just scout. And not only do you kind of push them out of the bushes by doing so because it's such a wide ranging ability, but it also prevents you from getting CC and killed yourself because it gives you that CC immunity. So that's one of the reasons why Chognar I feel like is so valuable, because you can simultaneously scout and do it extremely safely because you just throw out your ability and just run away and you're good.
Yeah, it's also, we're seeing very, very good, or at least a generally good sense. There were some games yesterday where it wasn't as good, but the chaos protection timings are pretty good. Like Chognar players have good sense of how to deal with at least one major team CC. The better ones are looking for that double CC value, but it's been fun to see Chognar played at a higher level than we normally get to see over in the Valor series.
Just taking shots at the Valor series, aren't you?
Well, no. It's just like, it's not something they play, and when they do play it, it isn't played to this degree. The Valor series has players who play certain things incredibly well. I don't think I've seen Chognar across the board played this well.
I want to see Kit play his mid lane Chognar in this league, just to see how the other teams would react. That would just be so funny, because it was doing so well in the RPL last week, and I was just like,
How would it stack up in the GCS?
Yeah. Although, to be fair, who was the player who played the mid lane Chognar? It was like TDC or something, one of the lower teams. So I think it was one of the lower teams, if I remember correctly. Anyway,
I didn't have those drafts written down, so unfortunate.
It was Kit. I forgot the name of the team he was on, but he was giving it to them. But yeah, Chognar is just so valuable as far as getting that engaged, making sure you're not getting CC'd, and in particular for J Team, it was kind of crucial to their no one dies strategy, right? No one dies unless they take 5 people to kill us, essentially, like they did with Superman sometimes.
Yeah, it was played as a safety net, and it was effectively played to extort resources out of the enemy team. If you want someone to die, it's gonna cost you. Because we have Chognar, and because everyone's already really, really mobile and escapable, we're going to make you pay for whatever you want.
Right, be that ultimates or time or what have you. And yeah, they got so much out of it. Even when Superman died, took literally the entire team, and the rest of the team was just off split pushing, and they ended up being more beneficial for them to let Superman die in that particular case. But yep, it comes back to that Chognar. It comes back to the fact that everyone is extremely hard to kill. Probably the easiest to kill is Raz, and that's saying a lot, considering how shifty he can be. But
yeah, too much footwork, too much sidestep, and then you throw Chognar on top of that. And I think the key is a well played Chognar with a coordinated team exacts a toll from you if you want to get me. And the question is how in the early and the mid game, can you kill that Chognar? Can you put him behind? Can you make him feel less confident going in there and getting off high value chaos protections? Or is he gonna get play even or ahead, and then you're constantly playing from a defense position of, we're really not gonna get anything out of this unless we wipe you completely. We wombo combo you, and then you're looking to make massive plays. It starts to fall apart.
Right, well, I'm not really sure what's going on with their production side, but for those of you who have just joined us, if you do not want to know what's going on, this is the GCS, which stands for Garena Challenger Series. It's Taiwan's Arena of Valor League, and it contains not 1 but 2, well, technically 3 if you think about it, AWC teams, the Arena of Valor World Cup, including the world champion Korean roster, who is signed by AHQ, and that's who you're about to see next go off against Hong Kong Attitude. So this is arguably the top team, or the top skill league of Arena Valor in the world. So if you're wanting to see what teams and what players the Western scene is looking at to improve, this is it. If you're thinking about, who is ALG Rest and Sleepy looking at to try to improve their games, and these are the teams that they're looking at.
And I'd actually love to sit down with some of the guys from the Valor series, and ask them which teams they're particularly watching, because we can say the top teams, but they could be like, oh, this one player on this one team that's towards the middle of the table, I really like the way he does this, and I'd be curious to see how they're analyzing the games and looking at things.
At E3, I talked to Shirko a little bit. He said that they watch SMG a lot, but that was when SMG was still kind of on top of the region, because they had just finished second to J Team earlier, and they were obviously they dominated AIC last year. So that's obviously one team that they look at. I'm not sure if they continue to look at SMG because they have a kind of a peculiar playstyle. I didn't get to talk to Sleepy. I was talking to Sleepy a while we were watching Dino Riders versus Immortals, and we were just talking about that particular game, but I didn't get to ask him as far as like what teams he watches in particular. But for sure they're watching what teams are doing in other regions, because like for instance when Thailand brought out the Grak in the AWC bootcamp, that caused waves and forced people to reconsider the meta.
Always beware the hooks. The hooks.
The funny thing, it wasn't just Grak itself, it was the ability of the team to play around Grak and kind of force people into getting hooked and force people into getting World Devoured. So that was a huge part of it. And like we saw with the RPL last week, Grak is still being banned in that league, despite, in my opinion, it being a mistake. Because like the lower teams are banning Grak and not the higher teams who have kind of moved on from that. Of course, in the GCS, it's a lot more meta stuff, and either the top heroes are getting banned or there's targeted bans for the opposing team. But I'm curious to see what kind of bans and picks we're going to see out of AHQ and HKA. It's hard to say those acronyms back to back, by the way. Just FYI.
AHQ, HKA. Oh God, yeah. Let's avoid that. Let's avoid that one like the plague. Yeah. I want to see how these teams prioritize Chognar and Mina, because we've seen all that Chognar emphasis, but then Mina getting banned by what appear to be the lower seeded teams, and I want to know how these guys think about Mina, because I still think she's pretty good. We saw all that Liliana banning yesterday, and then she's been making it through today. So there's that kind of differentiation in some of the drafts that we've seen. There's a heavy emphasis on... We've seen plenty of Raz coming through, just teams feeling confident to move around with him, but not as many marksmen. Like the Lindis, the Violet have been just like hard banned out. We saw plenty of those yesterday. So we're seeing, this nice spectrum of how teams think about strategies against each other, and it's been changing up the bans.
Yeah, I think Lindis did pretty well yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly.
Let me see.
All the games are kind of turning into a blur, except for the really memorable ones, to be honest.
Fair enough.
But
Lindis went 3-1, played in 4 matches out of 5.
Yep.
So
that's why you ban her. But one thing I do want to see a little bit more is that Marja play, especially if they're going to be going against something like a Malak. And Malak is such a highly regarded pick, especially in Thailand and a little bit in Taiwan as well, that I feel like if they go for the Malak, you just immediately counter with a Marja and shut them down, because that last game was just disgusting. That last series, I should say.
Yeah, just there also wasn't any real gank pressure either. I think that's also fairly significant. Not just did Marja bully the lane, but nobody felt confident they could go down there and deal with her and set up any kind of kill. So she literally was left alone to beat up on the Malik, and you just kind of wrote the Malik off as a loss and accepted that he was going to be a team fight asset. But then he was just so far behind, the Marja was so far ahead, and you lost so much ground in terms of map pressure.
Looks like they're not ready to start, so they're running their set piece once more. This is where, when I used to cast Hearthstone, we call this Talkstone. Just just chat in order to stall while production is dealing with stuff. What would you call it for Arena of Valor? Just Arena of Talk? Talking of Valor?
No, I got nothing. I have nothing clever. I was not prepared for this.
Is there something that... Okay, looks like we have an official break. So see you guys in about 5 minutes. When we come back, we'll have AHQ versus HKA.
这波可以压，我这波可以压。好，上路上路上路，来你上去，一律上去，我带着中。哎，没人，我拉出来了，我拉出来了。哦，哎，走，可以了，走，推你。我卡死了，OK。哎，来一下吗？哦，还可以是来啊。不行了，不行了。哎，那就不要。50。 可以哦，放了，拜拜，可以，拜拜，不要，我不要哦，我就不要哦，拜拜，我就不要，北人，我就不要哎，找北人，看我在变线，撵他，在你的地看哦，还没看到，我会靠你，阿弟，消可以啊，可以，阿弟位置，还行吗？飞得好硬哎，哇，在你啊，哇 ，nice。 上来呀！他们没看掉，我潇洒团了，两只，阿迪你看到钉板了，阿哲给他死，他没办法，死不了。好，没事，看好阿哲，他要打我，好，不会很痛。
没事，我不会这样。我们一起 on 一路，好吧？
我看一下魔龙，
要 on 中路就是直接。拉这是没大的哦，
但是我那边我就没线哦。
有的打吗？中路看一下哦。
莫拉在上，看到。
有的 on 就 on 哦。
两只在上哦，
我们要不要打架
啊？有的 on 就 on
特
拉
拉是中路。
啊，拉着打。中路可以 on
好，来，中路带。
那是没大喽。
啊，中路是可以 on，我不要看，我不要大吗？没有，
他没有匕首，
中路。
中路吧。
洛克西有脚砍哦，脚砍了。可以来。
可以帮他 on 哦，不要帮龙马了哦，龙马那边不要被抓掉。
他们要硬推了啊？有可能吗？有可能。
3个在我拳王面前，
人没大推。来了，
上路兵来了，来啊！我看你都会推，推啊！来啊！哇！
别！赶快回来！啊！别死，拜托！
我的就是符，守住了！中兵！
主堡守住了吗？
守住了！
快到我们的菜了，加油！
哇，这清楚推厉害了！
是凯撒，快出动！
耶嘿！
等，
好了，可以了。
Go 西斯特。
Go Power Ranger。
In buff. In buff. In buff. In buff, we trust. Buff 能量饮料，含花青素双效登场。
月下飞天镜，云生结海楼。手把芙蓉笑，翩跹笼月霜。出水芙蓉，人生如梦。元神出窍，元神归窍。 月下飞天镜，云生结海楼。手把芙蓉笑，翩跹笼月霜。
出水芙蓉。人生如梦。元神出窍。元神归窍。
我这波可以压，我这波可以压。好，上路上路上路，来你上去，一直上去，我带着走。哎，没人，我拉出来了，我拉出来了。哦，哎，走，可以啊，你推。我卡死了，我卡死。OK。哎，拉一下吗？哦，还可以，是来啊。不行了，不行了。哎，那就不要啊。可以哦，放了，拜拜，可以，拜拜，不要，我不要哦，我就不要哦，拜拜，我就不要，美人，我就不要哎，小美人，要我在变线，撵他，在你的自己看哦，阿平，我会帮你，阿平，消可以啊，可以，阿平不止，还行吗？飞得好硬哎，哇，在你哦，哇 ，nice， 都可以开吧，上来呀，他们没开掉，我潇洒团了，两只，阿杰你开到主管了，阿哲给他死，他没办法，死不了，好，没事，看好阿哲，他打我，不会很痛，
没事，我不会这样，我们一起 on 一路，好吧？
我看一下魔龙，
要 on 中路就是直接。拉这是没大的哦，
但是我那边有危险哦。
有的打吗？中路看一下哦。
莫拉在上，看着。
有的 on 就 on 哦。
两只在上哦。我们要不要打架
啊？有的 on 就 on 哦。特拉是中路。啊，拉着打。中路可以 on 哦。
好，来，中路带哦。那是没到喽。
啊，中路是可以 on，我不要看，有不要到吗？没有，
他没有逼走，
中路。
中路吧。洛克西有屌砍哦。屌砍了，可以来，
可以帮他 on 哦，不用帮龙马了哦，龙马那边不要被抓走。
他们要硬推了啊？
有可能吗？
有可能。3个
在我拳王面前，
人没大
推。来了，
上路兵来了，
来啊！我看你多会推。推啊！来啊！哇！
别！赶快回来！啊！别死，拜托！
我的就是符，守住了！
中兵！主堡守住了吗？
守住了！
快到我们的泰了，加油！
哇，这清楚推厉害了！
是凯撒，快出动！
耶嘿！
等。
好了，可以了。
Go 西斯特。
Go Power Ranger。
In buff。 In Buff we trust. Buff 能量饮料含花青素双效登场。
月下飞天镜，云生结海楼。手把芙蓉笑，翩跹笼月霜。
出水芙蓉，人生如梦，元神出窍，元神归窍。
Come on. No need to pray for me. Come on. No need to cry for me. No need to run. This is my own place. No one's gonna break me.
Stop. 欢迎回来，我是今天主播 Ray。
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the GCS Unofficial English broadcast. I am D2. With me is the Source. And after a bunch of breaks, hopefully we're ready to go with AHQ, aka the World Champion Korean roster, going off against HKA. The Source, we've broken this down for a while. Anything else you want to say before we get into this?
I'm just glad that everyone's safe. I'm glad that they managed to deal with the crisis that was on hand, harassing production. It was actually, we've gotten this official, guys. It was a group of kittens had gotten loose in the wiring, and so I'm glad everybody's safe. I'm glad the kittens didn't destroy the broadcast.
Unfortunately, the kittens themselves perished in the aftermath. So, all you kitten fans, it's a feels bad man moment. Anyway, of course, we have no idea what's going on at the production studio or wherever they're doing this. Wait, are they doing it at like in front of a live audience? Not really sure. We don't really. Do we get to see like audio shots?
I would hazard that the players are. I mean, the casters are obviously in a green screen room.
Because that guy's eyes keep getting like messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm finding it's more and more common that people that like, unless there's a really good reason, there tends to be the like maybe you put the analysts outside, but the casters are starting to be in green screen rooms. I mean, the Blizzard arena is like that, where the casting room is actually underneath the stands. And so like, I think the players might actually be in front of an audience, and I think that's always very cool. But I'm honestly not sure.
Well, we were talking about what kind of bands we'd see going into this match, and it looks like it's more of the same with, other than the Res, pretty similar as far as all these marksmen getting banned out.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Again, though, we're seeing people ban Lindis and Violet, and not giving their opponents any time to do it. I don't know. I maybe I just have too high a prioritization on the marksman. Just like in my head, I'm like, I feel like I would try and get my opponent to do it, but since Pierre is such a menace to society these days, I can see, okay, well, they're taking other powerful things off the board, and just the power dynamics of picks have kind of shifted a bit.
Yeah, and you can see that AHQ themselves, they started off with a Raz ban, so forcing their opponents to go for that. Looks like we have an Omen ban, not too surprising there. Oh, do the Wisp.
No way. That's playing for the fans right there.
All right, well, looks like we might have a Chognor, which that in itself isn't surprising, but oh, sorry about that. But the player playing it's likely going to be Sun, and he plays the side lane, so it's not going to be the Chognor that we've seen thus far this week. It's going to be likely the side lane from Sun. So, what do you think about these stylistic differences between, for instance, AHQ and J Team, two teams who were at the AWC. One, obviously, we just saw likes to play Chognar in that support role, whereas Sun likes to play it in the side lane.
I mean, AHQ, I wouldn't say they were overly reliant on Sun, but they did what they could to have compositions that were enough of a threat everywhere else on the map that Sun was kind of left to do his own thing, left to both make plays and find opportunities for the team. I haven't seen a lot. I don't remember the HKA matches enough, but already opening with strong side laner and mid laner in the Marja and the Liliana, and no, don't do it, AHQ. It's a trap.
Well,
maybe they have a plan, but
I would imagine if they do go for the Malak, then they will have the Chognar facing off against Marja. But yeah, we just saw that end so horribly. Okay, they're gonna go off of it. If they do pick the Malak, okay. If they do pick the Malak, which it seems like they have, either they're going to have, I believe, Chognar going off against the Marja, or they're going to be really into those rotations to try to bully her off the lane, because otherwise she's going to just wreak havoc. And we do have a Murad coming in on the side of HKA, it seems.
I think I remember in the preview seeing the Murad like highlights of HKA playing it, and I think I wanted to take note of it, but it was like super quick and I didn't actually catch the whole play. But the Yorn would be interesting. Open up a new rotational tower pushing strategy, because don't see a lot of Yorn.
We see Yorn occasionally in the Valor series, being played on Nova Esports, which is one of the top teams in Europe. So it's interesting.
It feels like a specialty, though. Like even when you see it, it's only a few teams seem confident in it, because he's fairly immobile. Granted, nothing has been shown on AHQ up until the Zenial, who's going to be able to get in his face. So
yeah, the best thing they really have is a shock from Hawk, or a shock from, I guess it wouldn't be Hawk, but a shock from the Malak, or the Chognar's running in. Okay, Flash comes in here. So yeah,
plenty of threat now on the Yorn.
So as you can see in the bottom of your screen there, Murad is picked sometimes, and it's one of those picks that a few teams are comfortable with as far as the assassin jungler. Obviously, we saw J Team last series go with the Necroth, but yeah, if they do go for the assassin jungler, it's almost always going to be Murad or Necroth in this league. Looks like we're finishing up with the Superman. And I'm looking at this, and I'm a bit afraid for AHQ. I think that HKA kind of has a number with this draft. What do you think?
I think AHQ need to be very careful. They step out of line before they really get enough items going, and Murad can get out of control. They could be out-positioned and out-rotated by this team, and then you're looking at Yorn dropping a lot of early towers. We saw what the Marja did up against the Malak, so that's kind of a difficult side lane to really control. And Sun's actually going to be on the Zenial, so that's going to be J-Jock on Chognar. I'm trying to think of how these matchups are going to go. Just keep Chaser away from Marja, and you kind of cut down on some of the teamy.
Well, I talked for a long time about Sun. Sorry?
No, I'm just my brain just realized they picked teamy.
Yeah, they switched to teamy at the last moment there. I was talking for a while about Sun being on the Chognar, but it seems like, having witnessed this, look at him just smiling. They're certainly confident, but looks like they're deciding to mix it up a little bit, having seen what they're going off against. So they're going to switch Chognar over to the support role, which certainly makes sense. And that's kind of the nice thing about picking Chognar, especially when you have someone who's capable of playing him in the solo lane like Sun. You just start off the draft with him, and you can go in a bunch of directions after that.
Looking at that kind of change and bringing in the teamy, I'm actually a little less scared of HKA, because when they had the Superman, I was like, there's just so many ways for a member of AHQ to be caught out Like just the number of things that could put them in a position for Murad to just kind of finish them off, or Liliana to finish them off. Now with the teamy, I feel like they've lost a little bit of aggression.
Watch, they're gonna just throw everyone for a loop and have Murad in the side lane and Yorn jungling with the teamy.
I mean, anything is possible. I mean, the team is still good. It still gives them moments for aggression, but I'm a little less afraid of like Slims getting instantly wrecked.
I think they're really committing to the idea of making sure the Yorn gets farmed. So even if they have to babysit him with the teamy, they're not going to lose that farm because, as you guys know, teamy's passive allows both he and the people around them to get full gold, even when they're sharing the gold. But we do have a bit of an invade here. AHQ getting really aggressive onto this blue buff, actually being able to have it get leashed off to the side there, as mid takes a ton of damage from Rush, but no one has taken a single monster on either side as they continue to just battle over this. Speaking of which, Xeno actually takes the blue buff from his own side, as you can see in the split screen there. So they're gonna get a little bit ahead as buff is covering up the score screen there. I guess they showed the buff energy drink whenever a buff is taken, which is cute.
Yeah, that's 10 out of 10 marketing, but that's a lot of damage on the Liliana. She's gonna need to back up. And...
Hey, Sideline Murad, we did it. No, I'm just kidding.
No. We can't have that. No Sideline Murad. The fact that J-Jock is still here, still messing with this buff is a testament to AHQ having a very strong understanding of how far they can push the limit on that. They've now slowed things down pretty significantly. They've distributed farm to the Xenial so that he could get himself already onto his Null Cleaver at a minute 30. So that's that's a lot of value for him. He's not just going to be able to stack, but has gained a little bit of offensive power with getting the slow on his punish.
Sorry to cut you off. I really like how HKA is being creative, because AHQ, they tried to get the invade there and it seemed like they slowed them down a lot, but HKA found a way around it by actually having Murad go to the lane for a moment there and get the farm that way. Otherwise he would be really far behind, and now he's actually hit level 4 on time. So props to them for making the best out of a awkward situation.
Yeah, I hadn't actually realized the gold was as even as it is, and actually ahead for HKA. So, they come out on top, and we'll see whether or not the value of all of that invasion and Sun can kind of take his advantage in lane and turn that into something. They do have Slims moving up towards the top, but that's a Marja lane. That's going to be difficult for them to poke, so maybe they're looking to just grab the Sentinel or put more pressure into mid. Liliana's taken a bunch of damage. The dragon is being started up. Here comes Murad, that's going to put a lot of damage onto Chaser. He's going to shock effectively in place, juked out by the ultimate of Murad, and he will be okay. And looks like the dragon is going to reset, so AHQ gets a respite. But HKA not giving up yet, and no one has died, but the gold advantage is starting to build up.
Yeah, that was perfect timing there by Lanter, getting his ultimate off after the shot came down. So not only did he not get damaged by the shock, but he actually got damage onto Chaser here. It's going to be the Abyssal going over to HKA, and in comes the Angelic Splendor, going to take out Lanter in the end. I feel like that's probably a blunder on his side, not saving up his dashes in order to get out of there, because he's one of the more mobile characters in the game as long as he has his cooldowns. Obviously, that's on a 12-second cooldown in the early game, goes on to about 5 later on, so something to keep in mind there as they trade out a little bit. In comes the Marja, though. Goes in on J-Jack. And Rush goes down to the Liliana. So too does J-Jack. He was down the entire time. But yeah, easy. Able to take those kills along with the Marja there. Very well done by HKA. And they have taken themselves more than 1,000 gold lead.
That was very solid team coordination, because you get one slow out from Marja, and then Easy follows up with a stun. You get the cross map ulti from Wesker, and that was just enough damage for them to be able to drop the Chognar. The Chognar hadn't hit level 4 yet, so J-Jack didn't have the Chaos Protection to get them out of there, and that was a really good timing play from the side of HKA to just catch them on rotation after, AHQ thought they'd kind of even things out.
Yep, and even more pressure coming on to Sun here from Baekun here. But he's getting in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, like we mentioned, Marja just so much damage there. And that situation right there just shows in a nutshell why Marja is suddenly so good now after being a very poor character earlier, because she walked in there and immediately used Ghost Walk to try to get that damage in, whereas before Ghost Walk did not nearly enough damage to warrant using it in such an offensive fashion. So she's basically a completely different character with that. I like the different playstyles as well, because she is going for Phoenix tier just for that extra health essentially in lane, even though she already has a lot of lifesteal, and she's going for the enchanted kicks for that extra pierce rather than just going for the flashy boots like we saw in the previous game.
Makes me wonder whether if she's got the CDR in her Arcana, and so that's the adaptation, is pick up the boots instead of getting the CDR boots, and kind of shifting that around to gain both stats. We see HKA moving a little bit towards the bottom half of the map. Easy is with mid, looking to put a little bit of pressure onto Jjock, and the Murad is nowhere to be found. They're just kind of two-man defending this Abyssal Dragon, just not letting the members of AHQ anywhere near it while they let Murad finish clearing up his jungle.
Yeah, very smart by them. You can see that Slim's, the counterpart jungler, not clearing his out yet. So, well, Sun's gonna just jump on Basin. Really
got him.
What? Did a Xenial just kill a Marja 6 minutes into the game when Xenial is not even really built up? Sun is just a different being. Like, he's not even human. What? That should not happen. But it does if you're Sun, and I maybe seeing Basin. Oh, Big Shock actually comes in here. But Chaser's taking a lot of damage himself. Couple of heals having to be used in order to keep them alive. As we see, Sun is still pushing the top there, still putting on that pressure. He could ult over if he needs to do so. As Hawk is extremely low, the ult's not in time here for Sun. He's still pushing, as you can see on the split screen there. Jock just trying to get away, but he cannot do so. Lantern takes him out, and this is turning into a disaster for AHQ.
Yeah, that was a series of unfortunate events for the side of AHQ. Hawk went back in to try and get the Cyclone value onto Lantern. Lantern, I mean, it looked like he had kind of been caught out. I was expecting there to be an Angelic Splendor somewhere in there from Sun to be able to match that out, but they are going to give up the kill. It's going to be Abyssal Dragon going over HKA, and the lead starting to build. And, you know, HKA were no pushovers, but we would have thought that AHQ, you know, would have been in a better situation. But Lantern is playing incredibly well. Great fallout from Easy in the middle of that team fight. I think we're putting a lot of this on Sun now to see where he can make an amazing play. He got the 1v1 on the Bacon, and I mean, I would love for us to get a pronunciation guide, so I stopped calling him Bacon. But you know, we're just gonna roll with it. And Lantern goes in. He does get the buff, but now a little bit of pressure there on the Bacon, and a shock used by Chaser in the bottom lane. Angelic Splendor to keep him alive. He heals him. Sun with the plays. He's gonna go in, gets the knock up. He's got the shield.
Perfect time. Perfect timing.
And now on the other side of the map, it's not over. We have a secondary fight. There's gonna be a Reiki shot to send the members of AHQ running, but it doesn't matter. Does it matter that HKA is fighting all around the map because Sun is here? What a play.
Oh my goodness, waited out the being a bro with the perfect timing right when that green disappeared. Boom, double kill, takes them both out, and looks like the Hawk is in. The cavalry is coming. Easy's in a bit of trouble. Sun trying to get out of there as well. This fight is a bit discombobulated. In comes the heart shot as well from the Yorn, so that is the signal to get out of there if you are AHQ, and they will do just that.
I mean, I ask Sun to make a play,
and he made a play,
and the man delivers.
he's like, all right, I got you.
Ask us, then you shall receive from on high the angelic splendor that is Sun. That just the timing on that play was amazing. We do have a Cyclone going out. Lantern,
he was already, he had like 0 health by the time we even switched over to that screen. So yeah, not looking too great for a Hawk here. Needs to kind of step it up and not be by himself half the time. And obviously you can make those plays as Flash, but he needs to Make sure he's not getting caught out. Wesker and mid really just putting the pressure here onto Chaser. Again, mid being the support, not an actual mid player. But Wesker just doing his... Oh my goodness, so much damage coming out from him. By the way, did you know that building attack speed...
Sun is about to kill Bacon again?
Did you know that increasing Yorn's attack speed actually makes his passive shoot faster?
I actually didn't. I thought it was a fixed attack speed rate, and the value of attack speed was just getting to that.
It actually goes faster. It makes it seem like you're accidentally canceling it, as Sun is getting really low. Is he going to be able to survive? In comes the damage from both. In comes Lantern. Oh, can't get away with the Angelic Splendor. Nice pickup here for HKA. But yeah, if you get enough attack speed, it looks like you're canceling it, but you're not. You're just shooting it really fast. I posted something on Reddit where, like, by the way, it works for Omega's first ability too. You know, the super long animation there. It actually goes much faster. So anything with an animation time that buffs up something anyway, I'll talk about it later. Shot comes in. Down goes J-Jock, unfortunately, trying to tank for his team, but unable to do so. They pop the Being a Road just in case there's any Malik shenanigans here from Chaser, but unable to get it done. Hawk just trying to hold on and clear out these minion waves. That's Lantern gonna get away scot-free. We'll continue my story later about the attack speed.
So HKA there, that was well-timed aggression from them. So first they get the pick off on the Sun, very, very key that if he's off the map, then they have a window where they know it's going to be 4v5. They look to find some fights. They managed to get a kill, and it was close. It was close down to the wire. If Chaser survives a little bit longer, Sun's about to come up. We get an Angelic Splendor, and maybe the play turns around and Sun makes another miracle happen. Now, with Sun back up, I would be careful if I were HKA. They need to continue what they've been doing. Put the pressure onto Hawk, pick him off, put continuous lane pressure onto Chaser, find him when he's just trying to farm up and build up some of that gold. We're going to see Liliana kind of juking around in the brush and get sent packing. But again, a lot of this seems to be on how much split push and play Sun can make. And it's starting to become a little bit of a problem as we're looking at about a 6k gold lead.
Yeah, in particular, Yorn is slowly but surely getting up in that gold amount. He's still behind the Liliana and the Murray, but once he gets up there, he is going to be doing so much damage, even building the war boots, because he is not afraid of dying. He has his bro there, and Teamy, and yeah, look at that rush, just not able to do any damage on the Slims quite yet. Doesn't have the farm to be able to do so, despite being level 15. J-Duck can try to see if he can't get anything done, but Marja has lots of damage herself. She is already built into that Soaring Aura, like we mentioned earlier. A bit more utility in her build with the Frosty's Revenge in there, but the slows will be insane, and she's going to be helping out Liliana to do a bunch of damage too. But in comes a Shock, knocks up the Yorn, in comes an Angelic Splendor as well. That's additional damage. Being a Bro is popped here. In comes a Cyclone, but members of AHQ are extremely low, but so are HKA. This fight is all over the place. Down goes most of the members of AHQ. The only one surviving is the Flash to get out of there. I don't even know what just happened that fight.
All the pressure was put on Wesker. They got the shock, they got the knockup, they got the cleave, follow Angelic Splendor, but Being a Bro keeps Wesker and Mid from dying.
Deleted.
And yeah, no, Hawk is gone. Wesker and Mid survive. Those were the two people who ate up all of the damage. And you can see the members of HKA, they are feeling it. They feel really good about that win. That worked out incredibly well for them. Even when Sun makes the miracle play into bot, they kill him in top, snowball the game from there, and it was just really coordinated team play. And I doubted the teaming. I thought that AHQ would be safer now with a HKA picking the teaming, but they played it perfectly.
Yeah, and you have to be feeling pretty scared right now if you are AHQ, because you're losing to HKA. You might fall down to tied for 4th, and that is not a place you want to be in. It would be really tough if the world champion Korean roster did not make it to the GCS playoffs. Obviously, there's a lot of season left to be played, but starting to get a little bit dicey here. And this match obviously looms large, especially because we're likely to see Team HKA and AHQ on the fringes, potentially trying to make the playoffs in the 3 and 4 spot. Not to mention, again, this is a gauntlet style playoffs that they're potentially going into, so that means that the higher the seed, the better. All of these games matter.
Yeah, I mean, if things were to stay as they are now, this would be their playoff round 1. And with how that game went, you want to, 1, win for seeding, obviously. But 2, you kind of want to prove that you are more dominant here. You want to start to rack up those wins. You don't want your games to be that close.
I just noticed that I have an outdated link up on the top right note, so we're gonna fix that right now. But yeah, what do you think Team HQ here can do to come back in this next game?
Well, it felt like the Wesker mid combo off bot really kept Chaser from doing a whole lot. Like, Chaser felt very much controlled and penned in. Sun gets a solo kill onto the top, and you would think at that point it would open up a really big window, and then Sun makes his play in bottom. But I think Chaser and Hawk just couldn't really get a whole lot done. Chaser was constantly kind of corralled into that bottom lane, and Hawk was just constantly dying. Like, there were 2 or 3 deaths that were just such a problem. One of his own making when he went back in around the dragon fight to try and kill Lanter, and then another one where, at that point Marab was in a good spot and he just kind of got caught out. If those deaths don't come through, you've got better rotational pressure into the bottom. Chaser's not under as much push, and you find an opportunity to maybe shut Wesker down and kind of keep the marksman position a little bit more even.
Yeah, it's funny that they were thinking about choosing Superman as kind of a support character, interestingly enough, because they had chosen the Yorn. Their last pick was going to look like Superman, but then they're like, wait, we don't have a support. And we don't really need a sidelaner because we have Yorn here. So they went with a Teamy. And the funny thing is, they were dominating the Malak in that lane, but that's kind of expected because it's 2v1. But every time Teamy went out into the map, Yorn was just planted under the tower. He just would not move. He was always coming in from the side, what have you. Just whenever there was a fight over the dragon or the golems on his side of the map, he would come in and lay down a couple of shots, try to get some damage in. But other than that, he was just planted, just glued, his butt just super glued to that tower, and just making sure that he was not going to lose any of the farm from that lane.
I'd want to look at how Slim. I would want to look at Slim's rotations, because actually I would say on the whole it stems from how mid lane went, because the Flash didn't really have a lot of opportunity to rotate between the lanes, and he was being kind of controlled towards that middle portion of the map. That on its own stops the rotation to kill the Yorn. Because if Teamy leaves, you send Flash down, he's got a quick rotation down there, and Malik and Flash will kill a Yorn if they manage to catch him. So I think it kind of stems from how little Hawk could do. He couldn't help Malik in the bottom. Wesker had a great lane, got plenty of support, and Slims couldn't keep up with how fed Yorn got.
Do you remember what Rush typically played in the AWC? Was he playing mostly marksman junglers, or was he playing assassin junglers?
There was a lot of Violet back then. Violet, Lindis.
Because it feels.
I think we were still seeing Ryoma back then.
Right. It just feels like he wasn't doing this play.
This play. Oh, this was so good.
Wasn't enough in the end, but Sun tried his hardest. It seems like Rush kind of let his team down, to be honest, because he just wasn't keeping up. Hawk wasn't doing much either.
It's a Slims.
Look at this fight.
I'd put it more on Hawk than I do on a Rush, because Slims...
the Marja damage. Okay, Marja did so much. How did everyone stay alive? Oh my goodness.
Well, 2 come back up off the Be a Bro. So
right. But even after that, they were still so low. I suppose Marja's invulnerable. The Murad's invincibility frames just staying alive under them. Who else was in that fight? I'm trying to think.
Everybody.
I know, but
So
like, the actual members.
Marja iframes. Liliana's hard to catch. Yorn and Teamy both got saved by being a bro, and then Murat's got iframes.
Right. And then Yorn's just shredding them with his damage at the end of that. Everyone's shredding everyone, actually. Like, the entire... I was looking at the builds on the side of HKA, and it's probably a good thing they picked Teamy in the end, because it would have just been all damage, and they would have been really fragile if they had gone for the Superman. But 4 members down, it was just damage, 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 damage. The Murad, the Marja, the Yorn, and the Liliana just had insane damage in all of their builds. And split evenly between physical and magical to add insult to injury.
Yeah, that was a solid blend of damage. Man, I'm not sure where the draft takes a turn from here, because I don't feel like AHQ's draft was bad.
The Yorn ban!
No, that wasn't worth it, Wes. Chaser. You just showed what, like, oh, you just showed Wesker way too much respect, I think. Like, don't like, that's like looking him in the whites of his eyes, man. Like, don't stare him down like that. Oh no.
Well,
like,
Linus is banned out here.
That's such a boost. That's such a boost. If Wesker pops off this game, it's because they gave him the respect ban.
Okay.
I 100% believe that. Like, that feels premature.
To be fair, there's no one really who can replace that role with maybe like a Telenos or something like that.
But make it the last ban. Make it a decision. That was Snap. That was second ban.
Well, no, because I think they wanted to leave open either Violet or Lindis. But then once Violet was... Like, if HKA doesn't ban Violet in the 3rd spot, they don't ban Lindis there. But if they do ban the Violet, then they ban the Lindis. So they wanted to see if they can maybe sneak in and just use their higher proficiency in one of those heroes to counter. I think that was their thought process. But
I don't know.
Regardless, the Raz gets through. Looks like we're going to see a run back of this Murad. Easy's a bit confused. Going to go for the Chagnar in the end. So a little of a switch up here in the support.
I want to see a deviation from Malik. I feel like Malik has underwhelmed and underperformed despite his popularity and his potential for success. He feels weak. He feels weak to me right now. Like, we're just seeing him not get anything done. And I guess that's a testament to how good the players are in this region. But then, like, I feel like we would see some adaptation.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how his win rate has changed as the season has gone on. Well, Pure is pretty interesting here. 43% win rate is not very high if you consider how much he's actually banned. In comes potentially Liliana. I kind of want to see a Marja. Just because she's so devastating in their lane. And she's pretty flexible, right? She can kind of be poke. She can be a little bit of a dive as well. But all in all, just amazing as far as getting the damage in.
Yeah, I would like Marja as the second side lane to match with the Malik. Although I liked the Xenial, it just Chaser couldn't do anything. Chaser didn't get an opportunity to really be that effective, and with the Chagnar on the other side, I feel like the shock is going to lose value. Fennec, though. Okay.
They were hovering the Wisp earlier, and I think it was semi-serious.
The Wild Wisp. Nah, no. Don't do the Wisp. Wisp is a high tier, high carry with low tier mobility.
Oh my goodness. Well, Fennec is selected. He is locked in here. So we're going to see yet another Fennec game. It was played pretty well yesterday by Flash Wolves. We'll see how AHQ is potentially able to pull it off. But it is a very snowbally hero, and I'm not seeing very many snowbally characters on the side of AHQ. Though, I suppose Pure is reasonable as far as keeping people up, keeping the Fennec onto the map. But,
This Wisp pick. I'm gonna have a feel. I have a whole rant about Wisp.
All right, let's hear it if it's logged in here.
If they lock this in, I'm just, oh man.
Oh, we forgot about my rant about the not rant really, but long-winded explanation about how ability or like attack enhancing abilities that have animation times, they're made faster by attack speed. So I posted a thing of Arthur where I maxed his attack speed and he literally teleported when he used his one. I was like, that doesn't go any faster with attack speed, right? Nope, it actually does. Same thing with Xanus, same thing with Ormar on his one, same thing with Omega, which is really actually helpful because his one takes forever otherwise. In fact, if you max his attack speed, he doesn't finish the animation. He knocks them up, and then he just like the game just like bugs out and he stops his animation because it normally takes so long to do.
Which makes me wonder about like
Gildor too, by the way. Gildor's one or his passive as well. It goes faster, but I don't want to make attack speed Gildor a thing, so.
Let's not. I'm already still mathing out that GNR build, man. Anyway. I'm gonna make that work one day. I'm gonna make that work.
Time for your Wisp.
So Wisp. The reason I don't like Wisp and the reason I lean against Wisp as a picked hero is because Wisp has everything going for her until you look at like you look at Wisp's kit and be like, mobility, stun, interesting crit ultimate, but has that hyper carry potential. So if you're familiar with League of Legends, she's similar to Tristana in the sense that she has an ultimate that isn't really that valuable to what makes her a great hyper carry, but the rest of her kit is such a hyper carry that you find interesting ways to utilize the ultimate. It can be used for split push in the case of Wisp, or it can be used to clear wave or zone denial, right? You think that Wisp would be this really awesome character, and then she has an entire skill that's useless. Her passive is completely useless. A passive that requires you to die to get value is completely freaking useless. And it makes me so sad, because I wish Wisp...
Get it out there.
The passive drives me insane.
Her first ability drives me more insane, because you have to use your escape in order to do more damage. So either you're doing damage, or you don't escape.
But that's fine. That's fine for me, because if you're building her in the true hyper carry sense, then you're playing her very similar to, again, I'm gonna parallel to a League of Legends character known as Vayne. If you've seen Heroes of the Storm, similar kind of to Vala's kit. This crossbow archer who can tumble, has this short escape ability, is all about these auto attacks and kiting people at short ranges. I'm okay with Wisp from that perspective, because one, when she dashes, she gets that range increase. Wisp has so many things that make her a really useful hyper carry with a good facilitating team. So there is massive potential for HKA to make this work. Her passive super tilts me. So I get really mad at her passive. That aside, looking at what AHQ has, there's a bit more transition there. Rush is going to get far higher value, I think, in rotations than he got out of the Slims. And having J-Jack on the Pura to give them, I hope, I when I saw the pick, I was like, I really hope that their level 4 play around the Dragon and transitioning the support into getting a little bit more farm happens. Doesn't seem like they're going to go for that, but I do hope that their first team fight is very much centered around that team fighting ultimate of the Nature's Fury.
Well, our first buff of the day is brought to you by Buff Energy Drink. So.
I mean, let's be real. Every buff today is brought to you by Buff Energy Drink.
I don't know if it actually appears in the top every single time, but that said, we had a bit of a poke fest in the beginning, rasking quite a bit of damage off, but we're trading fairly evenly as far as the gold is concerned. Wisp is having herself a good old time against Malik. Malik is actually surprisingly difficult to kite against because his range is so long. He has 400 range, which is double normal melee characters, and his cleave is just really, really big, and it's on a very low cooldown. So he's just like a like one of those horror characters that just slowly but surely comes towards you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, he will eventually walk. He will eventually walk at you to the point at which you die.
Pretty much.
Like that's just him in a nutshell. I'm still a little sad. I'm disappointed in you, AHQ. Get the peer of that farm, get that level 4 power spike. I truly believe in that, and I will be saying that until she gets a change.
Well, she's going for the Windstone, so that will help her a little bit as far as that's concerned. Just get some kills, and she'd be good.
Yeah, it's one kill. But the thing is I want to see it before we get to this point, before we get to this dragon play, because then you're looking at a massive fight around the dragon pit. Now they have delayed it. They have extended the timeline on this, and AHQ pull it and make sure that it can't be done. We see both the junglers clearing up some additional buffs, but she's still level 3, and I'm just like,
You're so sad.
It bugs me. It bugs me to a heavy degree. But the fact that AHQ, they've got the positioning on this, they should be able to very easily secure this. I don't see mid getting anything done, and we do see the objective going over. And was that instant ultimate pop from JJock to use that the moment it was available to guarantee that nobody could come in and steal. Or anybody who did come in and steal would be caught. So I'm totally cool with the way that played out.
As long as you use your ult, it's fine. Well, we're seeing Wesker just doing their thing in the bot there. Oh, wow. A little bit of a jump onto easy here. He's able to get away. Reiki Shot's just going to scare people off. Make them not go where they want to go. Malak looks like he's messing around. See if he can't just put some scare into members. Especially that lantern.
Oh, but the clear's not... I guess the push pressure isn't as good with the Wisp, so Chaser's already having a better time than he was last game.
Right, and they don't really have that teammate to always be there to help out. Wow, double barrel stun. Don't see that every day. But in comes the ultimate, and in comes a shock as well, trying to stop that from taking out the minion wave, but that means that down goes JJock because he has to dive farther than he would have liked. Wait, did we just see the passive get value there? Anyway, Easy's getting a lot of damage off.
No, passive got no value. Passive got no value.
Still under the tower.
Passive got 0 value. 0 for 1 on Wisp deaths versus passive value. But I think the only miscalculation there was from AHQ is JJock was the one tanking instead of Chaser. Had it been Chaser who was tanking, the heals would have continued from JJock, and then they would have likely Chaser would have survived underneath that tower. So bit of missed timing there in the way that dive worked out, but they managed to shut down the Wisp. Chaser is still alive. They traded out a support, so that ends up being worth it at the end of the day. The Chaser is going to get stunned, is going to get slowed down a little bit, trying to get out of there, is throwing out some very good cleaves, and he's still alive. No, mid will finish him off, but he almost made it out of there, so that's a dangerous thing, and they actually went in and stole some jungle away. So if Rush can show up to this in time, maybe they can test it. Actually, no, they're going to have to give it up.
I got really confused because the temporal turbulence looked like Angelic Splinter. I thought Senior was coming in.
Too many circles, man. Too many shiny circles.
And it was blue, too, so it seems like it's a friendly circle. Turns out
Is that just the skin?
Yeah, I think so. But it's also... It might be because they're blue as well. In any case, HQ still holds on to a tiny lead here in gold. Thanks to the very fast clear times from Fennec. He does have that Scorching Wind. Looks like he's building into a bit of damage here going forward, since Scorching Wind does add 50 attack speed, 50% attack speed once you get all those stacks in. So Sun is just going to kill Marsha. What is this? How is he?
This is Sun. Like Sun is just so freaking good, and I really want to know what he has Arcana-wise, because yes, Xenial gets all that value on that health. We're actually going to see the shot goes in. It's going to be able to zone out Chaser, but here comes a lot of pressure under JJock. All of the members of AHQ are in there. And Chaser, yeah, he's starting to take a lot of damage easy. He's going to put some pressure onto him. There's a little bit of slow, but Chaser is continuing to juke. And now the members of AHQ, they're starting to group up again. We have another pushback. Oh, they just can't get underneath that tower. And they're going to leave Chaser to die.
What? Lantern
Wait, how did Lantern die?
He died.
Who got Lantern?
No, it was the Thief's Mark. He was standing too close. He was trying to kill the Golem, which had a Thief's Mark on it, and the explosion killed him.
That's
from like 60%
Rush is already 100% more value than he was last game. And we're seeing this movement, and they're taking it around the horn. They're hitting every tower they can. They realized they couldn't make a play. They let Chaser die, take mid, take top, and get a free kill on Lantern because greed.
I've never seen that before, though. His Thief's Mark he was halfway across the map when he killed him. Like, what? Oh my goodness. That kind of reminds me.
Building that damage, he's going for, it looks like a rank breaker, which
yep.
I disagree with a little bit, because at this point I would just build Muramasa.
It's still pretty early. And it is 110 damage. And you do get to rotate between ways faster. J-Jog taking a lot of damage here. The Observer following Lantern is just messing with my mind right now. Because alright, well, Easy's taking quite a bit of damage himself. Rush is able to dodge out all of Murad's ultimates. In comes the Reiki shots. Probably not going to connect on anyone. And everyone's going to walk away from there scot-free. But after all of this, AHQ has taken a 2,000 gold lead. As, again, why is Sun pushing in the Mars? This makes no sense. He's a global hero. He's supposed to just join the team fight and hold his lane, not kill them.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the scenario in which this plays out. So before we do that, we do have AHQ. They are going to secure that. There is an ultimate down from the Wisp that is kind of keeping Chaser there, but Chaser is more than happy to put pressure on the mid. Sun was kind of rotating in a little bit there. So the only way I see this kind of working is that there is some interesting combination of Arcana for Sun to the point where he's getting up
HP, honestly, because every third
HP
attack, every third
it's
attack
gotta be.
is Holy Brand, right? Holy Brand on his passive gives you extra damage if you have extra HP.
But I feel like flat HP isn't enough there.
No, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised because once you get high enough, if you're a full build with Xenial, your third attacks.
He's probably running Benevolence, or not Benevolence. Colossus. Colossus over Benevolence. That I think is where I was getting that disconnect. I don't know. He's like Marsha has to have no defensive stats in Arcana because she's just like taking so much freaking damage.
Yeah, I was about to say once you're full build, your third attacks do 2,500 damage. Of magic damage, by the way. It's nuts.
Look at this. Look at him. He's got him. He's just so low. And now Rush is going to show up, throw down the chain hammer, and almost kill. Make him just...
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a miscalculation there because the siege minions were already dead. But they're doing some good rotating here. Fennec finally surpasses Xenial in farm, which is funny because he's been constantly farming throughout the map. Hawk takes a ton of damage, has to unpredictable out of there. And Easy is on the chase, gonna go on the J-Jock as well. Thief's Mark lands its mark, but lots of poking out here.
I mean, meanwhile, Sun getting more objectives, getting more things.
Lancer coming in. Temple tries to get the damage in. And wow, they're just getting extremely low. Marsha getting her damage in as well. They're really pushing onto this mid tower. Oh, wow. Lantern just locking in that damage. But Easy has to run, so that means that HKA is going to go ahead and back off. Sun's just inside, just living in the base of HKA at the moment.
Oh, that might be an out of position. No, okay, Wisp is fine. Wisp is fine, but this is positioning for AHQ. They're going to guarantee themselves the Abyssal Dragon, most likely. Oh, Wesker, that is the wrong place to be. Shock is going to come in, knocks him up. Cleave is through. Rush is actually on the opposite side of the wall, and Wesker is surviving this because, I think Rush dashed into the wall and didn't get over it.
Yeah, and no fear there from Wesker, just laying down her ultimate to fight back and get as much damage in as possible. Somehow even surviving. I think she thought she was dead. I think Wesker thought he was dead there, and was just trying to get as much damage in as possible before he left, but ended up actually getting out of there and having his cake and eating it too. Rush is hiding in the bushes here. The Observer needs to stop following Lantern. Big Thief's Mark. Is he dead?
No. Whew. One more auto would have been enough to get the proc, but that was just the Thieves Mark. There were no extra auto attacks stacked on top of that. But that's gonna be Easy being forced back, so maybe this time AHQ can guarantee themselves the dragon. It looks like Wesker and Mid want to have something to say about that. Mid taking a little bit of damage. Hawk is going to throw the Reiki shot on him, force him to back up, but they are not focusing this dragon. They're taking a lot of time. That's going to be a shot. Lantern is going to dodge it. He almost could have been wrecked by that. That's going to be a lot of additional damage. Angelic Splendor into the backline. They're putting pressure onto Wesker. Sun is there. He's got the Frost Cape. He's got that extra 250 damage, as well as the slow chaser, and him will finish him off. and I believe the Dragon went over to, want to say AHQ in the middle of that.
Right, because they have 3v1. Actually, they have the buff. That's the buff Abyssal Dragon. So yeah, they're getting in there. They have that attack, that basically the team fight buff from the Abyssal Dragon. Looks like the dark buff thingy. The blessing buff went onto J-Jock here, so trying to keep that pure alive. Rush is getting really chunked down by Basun. They're gonna go ahead and back off, unable to get that tower, but it is bruised.
I don't know if Easy wants that fight.
Easy's ran for a fight whenever he can get one. I mean, look, his fists are always ready.
All right, well, members of AHQ are in pretty good position. Okay, Fennec ends up going to that double armor pen at the end of the day, so that's going to start to become a lot of damage. I don't know what that last item is going to be. Maybe...
Fenrir's, I guess. I'm guessing Fenrir's.
Maybe.
I would like to see him switch off of the rank breaker at some point, though, because unless he really values the movement speed, since you do get diminishing returns, because the rank breaker is calculated first, like the raw pierce is calculated first, and then the percentage. So rank breaker essentially only gives you 150 pierce instead of 250 if you have both.
Yeah, I don't know. If I find if rank breaker, if you don't get rank breaker like super early, I feel like it just slowly gets worse. Well, it does get worse and worse, but like I feel like I tend to want it in like my first 2 items, and then sometimes I don't even want it if I pick it up first.
So technically, it was the second item after the boots.
Yeah, I think I was just being stingy. I was like, at that point in the game, I was like, I kind of just want my Muramasa.
It's like 2 minutes in, too late.
Too late. Seriously, like the math on it, like if you think about getting first item plus armor build, it starts to be a thing. But we can get deeper into that later. We've got Sun beating up on Marja again. Basin is being pushed back again, and the rest of the team from AHQ are all grouped up and looking for an opportunity. I mean, they lost Hawk, but they're just going to be able to retreat. Yeah, they should be able to retreat. I say that, and J-Jock is going to get pushed back, pops the ultimate, throws out an additional spirit to keep himself safe, and just a slow, methodical retreat from the members of AHQ. Meanwhile, Sun just doing his thing.
Yeah, has to contend with Marja being a pest in the mid there. He's going to go ahead and chase her. And he's at a high enough health point that she's not going to be able to do a whole lot to him, especially because he is essentially done with this build. This Darkslayer goes over to HKA. Shot coming in a little bit too late, but lots of damage coming in from Hawk here. J-Jock trying to run in there, but a little bit of a fragile deer. Unable to get much time. Chaser taking lots of damage, but the Nature's Rally able to keep him up, as well as that heal coming out from J-Jock. Close one there for Chaser, but they are pushing in. Speaking of HK, even though they do not have the heal buff that HKA has, down comes the Drake in a potentially dangerous spot. Could go down easily. Same thing with Easy. Oh my goodness. By the way, Rush did pick up Blade of Eternity, so he will be coming back if he goes down. But this is scary for both sides now. Both sides ramping up that damage like crazy.
That's some serious confidence for AHQ to be like, nah, they have Darkslayer, we don't care. We're going to pressure. We're going to make them lose a little bit of value on this Drake. We're maybe even going to find a kill. And I think if they find the right engagement angle on this could be really big for AHQ. They still have the Angelic Fund. Easy is dropped super low, and now they're going to step forward. That Drake has now lost all value. It's gone.
Yeah, not even able to take the first tower in that mid lane there. That said, Lantern, using that distraction, able to take a tower up top, but HKA is seriously down in towers, not to mention that gold tier. So you can see why AHQ was willing to take a fight, especially because their gold advantage is going to dry up pretty quickly here. Once both sides have a full 6 items, no gold lead really matters at that point.
And we still see Rush building more and more money to eventually sell that rank breaker and add more power to his kit. So he may have full items, but he's not done.
Lancer.
Thieves Mark is on him. He's gonna get popped. No,
Oh!
he manages to shoot back. No, the Thieves Mark still gets him. They use the Chaos Protection. They're starting to move away. Bacon, he does manage to slow them down, but that was a 4v5. And you've got Sud. Sud doesn't care. Sud's just gonna keep split pushing. Now the Abyssal Dragon is gonna be started. They're gonna be healed
this
up.
Heal is huge.
Right?
This heal is huge. They can just stay there forever. Oh, but Hawk is getting extremely low. Has to be careful. But they're trying to bait them into a fight. Oh, in comes Sun, though. Gonna get the heal off. J-Dog extremely low, but he can heal himself right back up there. Sun's in the middle of 3. He does not give a crap about any of this. In comes Chaser for the flank. The shot comes out. They are unable to get easy quite yet, though. Gonna go ahead and shift their focus to mid. No, they're gonna go for both of them. Sun's out for blood. Easy. Can he get anything done? Nope. Tries to go in for the charge onto the Hawk, unable to kill him. Mid maybe get blown up here. It's gonna go ahead and get some healing, but likely gonna go down to this Holy Brand right now. Yep.
Yeah, it burns time, but the rest of AHQ is taking the Abyssal Dragon, so they will be more than happy with that, and now they have the buff advantage, the positional advantage, and that Dark Slayer was essentially negated by just good positioning and the right amount of aggression from AHQ to the point where HKA gained nothing, and Lantern he goes in. That might have been a dangerous position for him to be in. Shock is going to be used underneath the tower. It is going to force Lantern back, and with Easy down and the minion wave here in the bottom, that's going to be a high ground tower breach. Basically, instantly, it's already dead because you've got a Fennec, and they might even be able to just end the game right here. Wesker out of position. Lantern moves into the back. They've got the Angelic Splendor. That's going to get a lot of healing. They got a lot of damage out from Lantern, but it doesn't matter. Marsha goes down. They're all so low, but it does it actually matter? They're gonna get healed back up by J-Jock. They finish off Lantern, and now it's Easy left alone. He's got mid to back him up. He gets 1 kill. Can he get a second shot? Comes in. The Chaos Protection was there to block it out, but there are too many members.
Mark on the core. That's it.
AHQ, and they all go down. AHQ bring it back to 1-1.
Yeah, there's just way too much protection onto Rush there. Not only did he have the Abyssal Blessing buff, the weird name that it has to prevent him from taking lethal damage, but he also had the Blade of Eternity, even if he fell below and died there. So extremely hard to take them out in the end, and that is the Fennec value, where you just walk up to a tower and it just melts before your eyes.
So Fennec, way better for Rush. Way better for Rush that game than the Slims. I'd be happy to see him go back to Fennec in Game 3 and kind of use that again to his ability, because that gave them a secure to answer the Maraude.
I'm looking at the faces of AHQ, and you can tell they're like, we shouldn't be tied 1v1 or 1-1 with HKA. We should be destroying them. And they're like, they're all business. There's no like high-fiving or anything. It's like, yeah, this should have happened in the beginning. Take a look at our stats here. Sorry.
We shouldn't be this far down. Like, it shouldn't have been that close in and of itself. Because that game was still fairly close. There were moments where I thought Wesker was about to pop off and get the kills.
Yeah, I don't think the Wisp was doing a whole lot that game, though, because she really couldn't step up. Every time she tried to step up, she just got aggressed upon. And it seemed like all of her value was in her ultimate, which was doing a bit, I suppose, but not being a difference maker.
So we've learned a lot today about side lane matchups. Marja beats Malik, and Sun beats everything.
Exactly. How do you... The thing is, like, Xenial... I've played a lot of Xenial. He is really bad in the early game because they specifically nerfed his early game because they, smartly recognized, speaking of the developers, that a character who can build both HP and also get damage out of it is something that's way too powerful in the late game. So if we tone down the early game, he's not going to be so out of control. So yeah, Xenial's not very good in the early game at all, and yet somehow he's bullying out a Marsha, which makes no sense.
I'm thinking it's gonna be Violate in the reds, Colossus in the purple, and I don't know.
Valiant?
I would personally go Skewer in green.
Well, Okay, no, I don't think he went.
But
I think he went Indomitable.
That doesn't account for the health.
No, I think he went Indomitable, Colossus, Valiance. Just for maximum health. Because health does more damage on your third attack than magic damage does.
No, but it's magic damage.
So you want
it's magic damage based on health. So I don't know. That's where I'm confused. I'm like, what's the math versus the pierce and the full health piece? It is magic damage based on health. So
what if he went Indomitable, Colossus, Flurry for the pierce?
Oh no, yeah, not Scare. I meant Flurry. I don't know why my brain went to Scare. Yeah, I meant Flurry in the greens.
That'd be so funny. It's just you're just piercing.
No, but like that makes sense. Could you get something like what is this, like 60 out of a full
look at this.
page?
Look at this fight from Sun. He's just walking up.
He's just beating the crap out of him.
He just walks up to Wesker and says, "You're mine." He was 1v3ing people. He was 1v3ing people at that point.
I think you're right about the Reds. I think it's Indomitable, Colossus, Flurry, because that gives him the attack speed value on just getting the proc off faster. He's got 60 flat pen in there, so he's not really gonna need to go that much pen towards the early game. It helps make up for the lack of scaling on the HP, and then he's still putting in plenty of HP. I think his opening items were Leviathan into Gaia Standard. Leviathan boots Gaia Standard, and then he went Frost Cape into Shield of the Lost. So plenty of value on the on-hit.
He went Medallion Troy last.
Oh, he went Medallion Troy last?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's like the build makes sense. I'm just like, that Arcana is telling me something, because he should not just be, like, Marja should be able to heal through that timing on the damage, so something is different there.
I think it might be a mistake in the build from Marja, because you just need those flashy boots. Otherwise, you're like, why are you trying to build damage when you're just dying? You should just think to stay alive and not get bullied out by a Xenial.
We saw it in game 1, went with the pen boots, and I theorized that meant that there was CDR in the Arcana.
I don't know. I feel like they're just trying to focus too hard on
damage.
Damage, right? Like, if you just play it the way that J-Team played it on their Marja, just go for like immediate flash
full
boots.
Defense.
No, it's not really defense. It's because you do get a lot of damage from those cooldowns as well. Like, you go flashy boots into Magic Ring. Yeah, flashy boots into Magic Ring, instant 25% CDR. And you're already doing damage, and AHQ's looking at a Wisp.
A hot Wisp hover. Please don't do it. Please don't do it.
Maybe this is their mind games. They're like, we're thinking of taking Wisp, and then HKA is like, is Wisp good? Then they take Wisp themselves.
No, Wisp is bad. It's a debate. It's a debate. Don't do it.
By the way, I like the thing in front of. I believe that's Hawk. It says the strongest mid laner in Chinese. Because it's the same in Chinese and Japanese. Yeah, because I can read Japanese, and it's the same in Chinese as Japanese. At least those characters.
Okay. Respect.
It literally says. It says most. If you read each character separately, it's most strong, middle road. So middle road meaning mid, I guess. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, educational stream.
I would say it in Japanese, but wouldn't make any sense, or it would sound different in Chinese as far as phonetically. Anyway, Omen finally makes it through into the pick stage, so HKA is gonna pick him up here.
We also saw the Maraud ban, so that's out for the moment.
Also, Hawk was doing ridiculous damage on the Liliana, so I like taking it away here.
It was also safer for him. He didn't get pressured the same way he did on
Flash, which is weird.
Flash in game 1,
which is weird to say because it's Flash.
Yeah, no, it is a little. It's strange to think that the Flash is going to get pressure, but I think it was just down to like free escapability. It's harder to get the blinks than it is to get the dash.
Right, and Flash, when you have to dash in to get your damage, which means people know exactly where you're dashing back, whereas Liliana can just blow you up, and if someone jumps her, she can jump back rather than jumping to the original spot.
A little bit more unpredictable. Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha. Do we have some Tyson subs in the chat? Do you know that joke?
No.
So there's this like awkward Hearthstone streamer. He's actually one of the biggest streamers in Hearthstone, / pro, named Tice, and people joke that they're subbed to Tice and they put haha in chat because like also the thing kind of looks like him too, so it's like, are you subbed to Tice? Haha. Anyway, sorry.
No, I appreciate the meme. That's high quality.
I know. And Tice is a good guy, but he is like, I get severe secondhand cringe watching his stream. It's pretty bad. And I'm one of those people who are like, why are you saying cringe? These are normal human activities that people are doing. It's not cringy at all. I'm like one of those. I'm like anti-cringe, and like even I'm just like, oh my god, I can't with this. Anyway, I've gone too long.
Ooh, are we gonna get to see the Sun, Marja?
The Omega, the attack speed Omega.
Give me the Omega. Let's go.
Just
Omega Marja.
Skip those animation those cast times.
Okay, we're getting slightly more controlled picks. So we're seeing the Malik swap to the other side. We're seeing the Slim swap to the other side. So HKA, they're showing that MOBA standard composition so far. We'll see what their last pick is going to be. And AHQ bringing out the Marja. I swear to God, Sun is probably just... I want to see what Sun builds. Now we get to see what Suns are going to run.
Well, Sun might actually play the side lane Crushed. He's apparently a master in playing supports in the side lane because he's done it with Chognor. I'm just curious to see if this is a Malok kind of counter and they're going to try to match up the Marja with the Malok, or if they're trying to deal with the Omen a bit better. I'm not 100% sure on all these matchups. I think that Crush can kind of deal with Omen.
Yeah, you just kind of knock him back and just kind of refuse to fight him for extended periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how Marja deals with Malok, so I think
you're not going to win the lane in that scenario. So I feel like you're just kind of trying to mitigate what Omen's going to get done.
Right, and then in the other lane, you're going to destroy the Malok with your Marja. So I think that's probably the way to go. Are we going to see a Thane for the first time in a long time?
I mean, that's that face of the AHQ player's like, is that what's happening? Really? No, they're not going to do it. They're going to do it? Really? Like, I imagine that's what that conversation was like, Thane? Question mark. But looks like they are. So we get a...
Who was available as far as supports are concerned? I get Alice.
Everything.
Mina.
Could have gone Alice. Could have gone Mina. Could have gone...
I just feel like Mina or Alice would be just better here.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, Thane it is.
I mean...
I just don't really see...
Like, Thane.
I don't really see how he's going to get much... I mean, I suppose he's like kind of a Sun Master, but... we'll have to see how it works out.
I mean, his main targets are... Pyr and Crixie. His Marsh is going to be difficult to catch. Fennec should be able to get away from him.
Maybe just space control with his ult.
Yeah. Oh, I
What? What's up?
I was looking at the draft and I wrote Chaser instead of I wrote Chaser as a hero and not what he's playing. I put him in front in place of the Malik. I was like, Malik, Chaser, they are one and the same.
They are the same being. And turns out he's a demon lord or whatever Malik is supposed to be.
Looking at these comps, I'm actually not sure whose I like more.
I like HQs a lot more. I just don't like the Thane very much, and I think that they can kind of bully the side lanes. The Slims and the Liliana could be a problem, but so could this Fennec and this Crixie. But Sun immediately gets pulled in. He's in a lot of trouble. Needs to get healed up. And in comes Thane to not much avail.
I'm Thane, I'm helping.
I'm here. That cleave did not connect. Come on.
I mean, pixels, hitboxes, math. The geometry supported it. I think I think Rush on the Fennec gives AHQ a safety net they didn't have in game 1, and I think that'll help me wrap my head around their composition. And yeah, I think you're right. The Thane is just so... It feels like it doesn't fit. I mean, that's a good knockback combo onto J-Jock, but we've got Chaser already there, and now Wesker has to take the long way home.
Well, it looks like mid's still trying to get damage onto there, but that Pura passive, they always forget about the Pura passive. Just slowing him down. And J-Jock's just going to chase him away, funnily enough.
I mean, J-Jock Candy's like, this is my house.
You stay away.
This is not a safe place for you. I think you're in the wrong neighborhood, mid. I think you want to go back to where it's safe for you. And they get the knock up, some combo damage onto Easy. That's gonna be a good setup, and then the stun onto J-Jock. Out comes the chain hammer, but mid has been caught. He's being healed. Hawk is gonna throw out the mischief, get a little bit more damage in there. They will get the knock up. It's a little just enough. I didn't think the Thieves Mark would do it, but that is some coordinated play from HQ Easy. Easy says you're not walking away scot-free, but...
Easy. Easy there, Easy. Anyway, lots of damage coming out from her, obviously, but she gets slowed down by Purist passive like everyone else. Ooh, Spear misses. That's unfortunate, but Mischief doesn't. They're going to go ahead and take these Abyssal Dragon. Members getting extremely low. Lantern's going to go on extremely fast, and so is Wesker. And this is looking like AHQ's game all of a sudden.
A dangerous place to fight with them about to hit level 4. Now we have the heal set up from J-Jock, and they've got the Thieves Mark 4-man rotation into the bottom lane. This is going to be a quick tower, because if you are mid, you are level 2. You don't want to be there, man. This is not worth it. He's going to get knocked up. He's going to get mischieved. He actually manages to walk away from that, but the tower will go down for free. Playing with fire, he got lucky.
Yeah, not to mention that he aggressed onto the Marja, who literally has a way to escape from any situation. So that didn't work out too well for her. By the way, we do
stun combo in mid. Easy taking damage. No, didn't get killed.
Yeah, we do have Marja building the way I think is correct for her right now, which is going into the flashy boots straight into the Barris Agony. So getting that massive CDR right off the bat. But yeah, HQ looking good this game, and Thane looks like all the lost Thanes in solo queue that I come across, not knowing what to do. Look at this. J-Jock just chasing after Baekun here, Baesoon. By the way,
a pronunciation guide.
I think it's soon, just because like that's how it normally is. Hawk is in a lot of trouble getting the blinding lights, shining lights. Wow, ult. It does a lot of damage to her as well, which means she's able to get taken up by the Easy. But Easy himself in a bit of trouble. Wow, those Shining Light, Blind Light combos are doing so much work, but she might not be able to get out of here. Does she have Unpredictable up again? That is the question. J-Doc going to try to chase her as well, but she's going to be able to get away. Good play by the Liliana, salvaging that whole nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, more than enough sustain from Chaser, but the damage just isn't there yet, and Easy played that incredibly well, but we see AHQ, they're already on point. They accept the fact that they're not going to get those kills, and they gain themselves another major objective. That's an Abyssal Dragon down. And, I mean, Sun isn't making as insane plays, but just, I'm waiting for Sun to find his opportunity, and it seems like the rest of the map has been the focus. Thane isn't really getting anything done. Wesker has, after that one play in bottom, has to be careful about how far he goes out and farm. So the Marja is pushing up even further. and Rush is securing massive objectives. And mid, I don't think you want to do that. Mid is going to push forward. He's going to get some stun damage down. Ultimate out from J-Jock. They are going to use the shock. They've got some damage there. The healing is coming through, though. Here comes Sun into the backline. Metamorphosis through everybody. That's going to create a huge no-go zone. Lantern gets dunked. Russian from the side. Wesker is going to be caught. Mid is there as well. They're going to be able to push pressure onto Easy, too. Maybe even Basin will be found. And the AHQ, who was slightly getting pressured, just decides, I think it's time to pay Easy back for what he did to us in the top lane.
You did that on purpose, didn't you? You're like, I wonder when Sun's gonna make a play here, and once again, asking
I didn't
you
think
shall
it was
receive.
gonna be that perfect of like. Great. Okay, actually, that metamorphosis was like a 9 out of 10. It slowed everybody down. It split everybody up. If it was perfect, it would have collapsed all 5 and would have pushed them all into a wall, and then they all get full comboed and die. But it was still pretty darn good. And mid is just playing with fire. He wants to see how long he can last. Pop goes the weasel as a
oh my goodness.
As one more Thieves Mark hits home, and you know what? I'm a new believer in the Fennec. We saw it in the RPL, and I didn't really believe.
Well,
I'm happy to see teams be able to position around it. Now another tower drops. AHQ are running away with this game.
Well, this is an intentional pick, that's why. In the RPL, it was only picked because it was the only marksman remaining that could jungle, but big ultimate comes out from Sun again, trying to go into Lantern, but he's able to jump away. They're going to disengage here. Sun says, oops, my bad, we're going to go away now. I was about to mention earlier, before all this mess happened, that Sun was doing his job by not getting pushed in by one of the best side laners in the game, but lo and behold, he's like, I can do more than that, comes in for that massive metamorphosis, and just, his hero pool must be just massive. He can play Xenial, he can play Chognar side lane, he can play metamorphosis, crazy, crushed, like, what is going on with Sun here?
I think the most impressive thing about Sun is his positioning and his game sense. And because of that, it seems like he can play pretty much every character because he understands the nuances of the giving characters, but he understands his position and his role so well.
Oh my
and
God,
mid, oh my God, mid, one more auto attack.
Oh, has to pop the heal and I believe his passive as well, as they're just bullying them. Speaking of HQ, though, that buff does go over to the Lantern, but they are going to be pushing into this tower here. Thieves Marks goes down, which means it's going to get chunked down right at once. 4,500 gold lead here for AHQ. Can they take down this high ground tower? HKA is going to have to stand up for themselves. Rush taking a lot of damage. Heal comes out. Another heal comes. In comes a big shock. They're getting a lot of damage. Oh my God.
Sun is a god.
Wow.
Perfectly timed metamorphosis. They clump up and he says, hi, this is a wall plus a tidal wave. Goodbye. They don't lose a single member other than J-Jock. And that is an 8-minute game. I swear to God, if Sun does not get MVP.
Wait, how? That was an 8-minute game. Let's just talk about that for a second. The game went from being completely normal to they just pushed up mid and ended? Okay.
Hi, my name is 8-minute team wipe with a Fennec and a wave on your high ground tower.
The funny thing is they just slowly started getting, you know, advantage after advantage. And it was like 1k gold lead, 2k gold lead, 3k gold lead. And all of a sudden they were up 4.5 to 5k gold. And not only that, but they were taking full advantage by just pushing up mid, knowing that all members were there. And just taking advantage of the fact that they had that gold lead and didn't really care about towers, knew that the opponents were there, they could take advantage. A lot of times that opportunity doesn't present itself, because if you try to go up mid, then the side towers are getting pushed, but they already had the side towers pushed. They just go right up mid and got that perfect team fight at the end there. I was worried. The shock was amazing. Everyone followed up on it. Team members were getting low, and then boom, metamorphosis into the wall. Everyone melted.
I mean, what? Come on, official broadcast. Show me that Sun MVP. I'm just, God, that was perfect. Like, and to do it twice, to get those kinds of angle flanks twice. Like, look at the items. They're basically, everybody's on like 2-ish items. This game shouldn't, like, you wouldn't expect this to be a game that it ended. You wouldn't expect this at a professional level. And, dear God, like, that was just impressive.
Yeah, and we have to say that our instincts on the Thane were correct. He didn't do much at all. He did tank 29% of the team's damage, but that's probably not a good thing because he died a lot.
Yeah, I think that was...
Look at the Liliana, by the way. Oh my goodness, 46.9% damage.
I mean, Lancer wasn't really in a position to do damage. You're not going to expect a lot of that out of Wesker. Basin didn't, he was pretty much sitting off in lane. So it does kind of add up. It does make pretty solid sense. And just... I mean...
The funny thing is, this game after, again, AHQ lost the first game. This is a 2-1 victory, not a 2-0. So to see them absolutely demolish them in the final game, I think this kind of taught themselves a lot about what they're comfortable with, right? First of all, Sun is a god and can do anything. But other than that, Rush being a lot more comfortable on Fennec, it seems, and that's probably a hero they're going to come back to. And I guess the other moral to take away is don't put Hawk on Flash, I guess. But yeah, they're really like kind of learning about themselves a bit more through these games.
I would also say something to note. I think we've seen Slims run into a problem of not being able to be aggressive enough in the early game. I feel like that super hurt Rush, so putting Rush on the Fennec, like giving him the ability to just kind of clear waves, be places, show up to the team fights is fairly important.
Right. Well, as soon as we get the Source's wish and see Sun as the MVP, we're probably going to be ending this stream. But by the way, I do upload all these to my YouTube channel. I haven't uploaded last night's, but subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to just see the broadcast, maybe watch them 2 times speed or something like that. I keep them here as well, so if you want to watch them here, follow. But yeah, as we can see, there you go.
Been disagreeing with the official broadcast all day when it comes to who the MVPs were. I finally get one right.
They need his new hair color though. That's what I'm disappointed.
He's got that kind of like blonde with some other shenanigans going on.
It looks good, honestly. He looks like he is an actual Sun.
No, that was this was those last 2 plays were just freaking perfect.
When the sun comes up, your team goes down. Oh my goodness. Well, do we need to? They're probably going to show the standings, but we can just we can go over them right now. So after today's win, J Team is 6-0. Flash Wolves is 5-1. AHQ is now 4-2, and in sole position of 3rd place. Hong Kong Attitude is now 3-3, tied with 1 team for 4th place. SMG is 2-4 in 6th place. Mad Team is 1-4 in 7th, and Monster Shield is still winless at 0-6. So, after a weekend of casting GCS, who do you think is going to make the playoffs? I think that J Team and Flash Wolves are pretty much in.
Yeah.
But who do you think after that? I think HQ probably is likely in as well. I guess the question is, who gets the 4th spot? Is it HKA? Is it 1? Or is it SMG?
I still want to see a little bit more from AHQ. I feel like they are probably going to get it, but like I want to see like one more solid week from them, and it'll be like, okay, nothing, like no upset is going to happen probably at that point. Between 1 and Hong Kong Attitude,
they're tied right now. SMG.
I feel like Hong Kong Attitude is better.
SMG could catch them.
SMG could catch them. Like there's still space at that middle of the table for some stuff to happen. I'm personally gonna say Hong Kong Attitude. I think they're gonna rally back after this loss.
All right. Well, those are our predictions. I guess I haven't predicted mine. I kind of want to say HKA as well, though they feel like they're really up and down, and you saw that today. They had a decent first game and then kind of fell apart. But I'll go with that as well. Looks like they're ending their broadcast. They're going to go to an interview, so we are done as well. I'm not going to stream after this because I'm a bit tired after last night's stream. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, but hoping next week's games are just as exciting.
Oh, that's right. We should mention. So we're. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah, what are we gonna do next week?
Well, RPL is tomorrow. RPL is every Monday through Wednesday, but GCS is all over the place. So I'm guessing we're gonna do RPL tomorrow, and the next day I'm gonna try. I think Nigeria is open on Tuesday, so I'll kick you off and put Nigeria there. And then on Wednesday, we're probably gonna do GCS rather than RPL, but that starts at 4 p.m. Taiwan time, which is like the middle of the night for you.
All right, well we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, tune into more Eastern AOV, aka the best AOV in the world, these coming weeks, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.